Alright everyone, I want to thank you all so much for joining us for some more D&D on Lionhead Gaming. We do have a few quick announcements before we go ahead and get started with tonight's session. We are going to be absent a Peter, player of Javen, tonight. He is busy dealing with college stuff, so send all your thoughts and prayers for that, I guess. Wish him the best on studying and things of that nature. That's more or less it. I would just also recommend, again, as always, be sure to follow on Twitter for updates and changes to the schedule, as we are seeing some changes with our DMs' day-to-day lives, and they may need to make more frequent changes to their availability and whether or not we'll have a game on a week-to-week basis. But we'll be sure to try to give you at least 7 to 5 days notice on, hey, things are going to be changing or we're not going to have a session this week. So be sure to follow on Twitter for any updates on that. Without any other further ado, Monsieur Owen, it is your game, your time to shine. What do you have for us tonight?
Left off our valiant vanguard. They had entered a small town familiar to only really one member of their group, having searched for someone that supposedly would have some sort of aid in a sort of small side task of it. And were met with some strange, concerning, impossible news. But the story leading up to that is not mine to tell. Can someone tell me what happened last time on A Song of Rapture?
Yes, I can.
Go for it, baby.
I got it all. Yes. The Valiant Vanguard had traveled for 8 days to get to Crossway, a city that is known as the place where all roads lead to. It's a somewhat independent city-state, but kind of watched over by the Mobian Kingdom to some degree. We took a quick stop here on our way to Garen's Well, and we had a couple of errands we wanted to run. A person on a wanted poster we needed to investigate, and ultimately just to hang out and take a break from our long and weary travel. We ended up on the western side of the city, the Emerald District, which was best known for its trade and agriculture. When we got there, we had arrived to the Sparrow's Nest Inn? The Sleeping Sparrow? I lost the name. The Sparrow's Nest.
Sparrow's Nest.
It's the Sparrow's Nest.
We went into the Sparrow's Nest, where we decided we were going to stay the night. But before dispersing, Luna asked the innkeeper, Avon, if he knew anything of the Gilded Coffers. And they are very popular around Crossway, so we got a lot of eyes. Quickly trying to save face, Luna dismissed the matter and dragged Samantha out with her to go shopping. Although instead of shopping, they decided to do some investigating on their own. They went to... They went to the... I forgot the name. It's
store. Bar.
They ended up at the Cutter's Mug, where they were hoping to meet with more roguish type characters, so that they could get some more information. It seems that talking about them in plain sight isn't really the best, so maybe talking to people that are rougher around the edges would give them some better insight. There they met a half-elf named Alan, someone from Sarabin who ran the Dragon Circle Inn, where adventurers usually stop by to share their tales. While there, they had learned of this place that the Gilded Coffers like to mingle at, called The Den, where people pay to go in and watch fights of sorts. Seems that they have a champion, an undefeated kind of champion there, and watching fights was a grand sort of entertainment. Javen headed to meet an old friend of his, an old contact, Gib the Rat, someone who had once given Jody some information and some leads before she started working with the Gilded Coffers to do so. Gib was needed to provide Jody with those leads while she was staying quiet and out of the Gilded Coffers' radar, rather.
Ugh.
I know, doesn't he look amazing?
Nope.
But Javen also had to tell Gib that he was here with a group of people who were on the gooder side of things, so he brought Gib back to the Sparrow's Nest to talk to the Valiant Vanguard about how it is they should probably behave in Crossway. Like, maybe not mention the gilded coffers in public, where everybody else can hear when you're traveling from out of town. You know, just some basic stuff like that. Quill and Persephone went to the Elven district, little elven town of sorts near where they were already staying, where they shared some memories from back home and learned of news. When everybody got back to the Sparrow's Nest, Gib gathered us around to tell us of a couple of quests that we might be interested in. Some adamantine poisoning to the north, where some dwarves were getting sick. Medical supplies were supposed to have arrived, but hadn't yet. A crown and artifact of sorts had disappeared from a museum in the southern district. And the undefeatable Hunk. With a lot of gold, somebody defeated him, they could leave a rich man, but he was undefeated for a reason. But before the Valiant Vanguard could get ahead of themselves trying to accept any of these quests, they remembered that they had a goal, and that was to go to Garen's Well to find Luna's parents. So the next morning, we set off. And as we did, the Valiant Vanguard was faced with a moral dilemma of sorts. They watched Gilded Coffers rough up a couple of merchants, and they got one instruction from Jody coming through Crossway, and that was to not cause a scene, to not make themselves known, to go in, go out, no trouble. So that's what they did. They walked on by, but with a little magic from Luna, the Gilded Coffers accepted a suggestion to leave the merchants alone, and nobody got hurt. They continued their way to Garen's Well, and on the way over, Luna had a dream where she saw a dark and dreary town that she once grew up in, a man with long dark hair who she had come to take in as a father of sorts, before discovering dozens of small graves beneath rose bushes, and discovering that she had access to magic, which she used to burn him until he was nothing more. And before she woke up, she realized Persephone was there watching her too. The two didn't exchange a lot of words after the fact, and we continued on our way to Garen's Well, using the adamantine poisoning as an excuse for why we were there, to see if we could talk to a physician of sorts while we snooped around town. The guards were kind enough to take us to a clock tower that the physician was using as a sort of lab. And thankfully, he will speak with us. But his name is Dr. Gellner, and now we're left wondering if this is the same Gellner that Luna once knew, or if this is a relative of sorts. So join us tonight as we try to answer all of these questions and write our next chapter in Song of Rapture.
All right, give yourself some DM inspiration, Mel.
Yeah!
Okay, as indeed, we join the Valiant Vanguard standing at the door of this great clock tower of a building. It seems like it's this large stone and wood structure amidst this sort of like old, dank, and sort of gothic themed area. It seems like almost ahead of its time in terms of how you've seen all the other architecture of Mobia. And sort of met with perplexing news, especially to those such as Luna. A name you've heard before, a name of the man that you incinerated with your dark, shadowy flame, supposedly still residing within this small, sleepy little town. As you guys find you're standing late evening of October 4th on a Thursday. It's strange being Garen's Well. When you walked into this place, you sort of know that the trees were somewhat without life, twisted, lost their leaves, and sort of taking their place among the trees were, it looks like, small hanging rodents of sorts. Dark birds like ravens, and cluttering across the ground are soft and somewhat now matted with the falling rain. Rats. The place seems like it's sort of well, to say the least, a dump, but the buildings here, especially this one with its magnificent gnomish structure, stands out almost like a piece of treasure in this dark, guttural town. As you're being told by one guard, a somewhat cautious man, Dustin Martin, that the doctor will see you in at least a couple of hours. Usually, the town of Garen's Well will lose its almost daily rain, usually as the night comes and the sky is dark. But do not worry, that Dr. Alec Gellner will see them when time comes.
I'm sorry, did you say Eric Gellner?
Oh, yes, Dr. Gilner. He spends all day in that lab. He only tends to patients usually at night, or at least when the sun is showing during the day. When the rain has parted.
Keep going away.
Oh, are you sure?
Oh, wait, I closed the door.
I'm standing outside the door.
Yeah, I thought we were outside. On our
Oh, I thought we were inside.
No, we're outside.
Oh no, I went inside for you. Sorry, you seem a bit confused.
Just
It must be
pick
the
him
radio,
up
obviously.
and place him outside.
Just pick him up and place him back inside the house, then close the door.
If you wish for some levity from this rain, I can guide you to the tavern, the Mangy Hound. It's not much, but it should give you some sort of refuge from this terrible weather of ours.
That would be
The
lovely.
Mangy
Thank you.
Hound? Where do people come up with these names?
That would be lovely. Thank you, Samantha.
I mean,
Appreciate that.
Oh, certainly, just stick close and watch your sides as he sort of leads you ahead in sort of this beeline, almost like a serpentine fashion, just walking between these very closely placed buildings across wet cobblestone ground where puddles are starting to develop. You see as he's walking, especially you, Persephone, with your insight, his eyes, he'll be walking ahead a little bit, and his eyes sort of stop and sort of look around corners before he walks past them. As if a little bit on guard, which makes sense, though, considering he's a guard. As he takes you on through town. And after...
Seeing that he's a little bit on guard, Persephone's going to just inquire: Is this like a quiet little town? Is everything, is it safe?
Well, Garenswell is a very considerably safe town. Although, well, you've probably heard of the Haunts, yes?
The what?
The what?
Oh, you haven't. Well, it's nothing to worry about. It's just something about this place. It's, well, as long as I can remember, there's always been something of a presence here in this place. Windows may shutter at times, doors may rattle. You might find a cup on your table shifted a little farther than you left it, but it's no matter. They're mostly harmless. That's just Garenswell.
Alright.
That's a little spooky.
Do I know of anything
does frighten.
that does things like this? Like sort of, the closest analog I can think of is like, do I know of like a thing like, hey, don't build a town on top of an ancient burial ground kind of thing, like that results in things like this? Or would any of that knowledge kind of occur to me?
Roll me a straight Arcana check.
No problem.
Ghost check.
Spooky.
I mean, this sounds like parlor tricks that I knew of men doing. Moving cups, shutting windows,
That was
blowing out
huge.
candles, shouting rather loudly. You
Wait,
sure
if
you
we-
don't have a prankster on
Oh,
your
we didn't bring the
hands?
cart! Fuck!
No, we did not.
We gotta go back home and get the cart.
What?
We can't be here without the fucking mystery mobile. Come on!
Oh,
God damn
my
it.
god!
Alright,
It certainly seems like it is prankery, but it's been going on, well, since I was a kid. I've lived here all my life. As Samantha. Yep, it seems like pretty decent in terms, not quite as magic, but in terms of knowledge of just like spirits of sorts. If left unrested or something like that matter, there's always a presence that lingers around. And yeah, obviously one of the big ones is building settlements or anything that would defile graves typically does such a thing. If this place was built on a burial ground or something, yeah, it probably makes sense. There's probably some spirits hanging around, causing some trouble. Although it sounds like they're being pretty mild.
up to no good in your neighborhood. Gotcha.
Called the mystery machine?
Yeah, it's the mystery machine.
No, it's the mystery machine.
You didn't know that?
Jesus.
You got one little fight.
I
your
don't know
mom
why I
got
didn't.
scared.
I always thought it was like the mystery
I was gonna
mobile or the
send
mystery
you
van.
straight on
Mystery van does not sound good.
Jesus. As after
Sorry.
about only like 20 minutes of walking, you guys eventually make it to this sort of ramshackle-looking building. It's not the most impressive thing, and if the name was any indicator, well, it's probably not going to be much. It looks about the size of the Fallen Horse in its current state. larger than, what you're usually used to staying at for quite some time, but yeah, those look a bit cracked. You can see some cobwebs high up between the rafters. It looks like maybe they can't quite reach up there to clean, or maybe they don't bother. As he steps aside and sort of lets you guys into the door, if you wish to have a room here, I assure you the fares are cheap. It's not much, but it beats standing out in the rain.
Bro, I appreciate that. Y'all do something about the haunts? You supposed to put a horseshoe up over the door or something like that?
There have been methods attempted. None have really fared well, especially with the absence of the clergymen. It's...
well, you don't have a church here.
Well, we have a church, but it's not quite full. Been empty for some time. But I assure you, it is mostly harmless. Just, I would advise, typically staying out of the rain and preferably heading out, when you can see some sun streaking through the overhanging clouds. Typically when it's nicest and when things are calmest. If you find such things to be, scary. As he looks over to the large man with the armor and the large man with the sword, looks like he's trying to read your expressions.
I don't scare easily, lad.
I'm just fucking wide-eyed and fucking going pale. Or just getting startled at random sound.
Yeah.
Let's get a seat to ourselves, and I guess there's some sort of lounge area around here, as I just kind of look for, where the bar is.
Oh yeah, he ushers you in, and immediately, when the door opens, you can see the other wall of this place. It's, again, not particularly big, but it is something of a kind of decent, cozy area. You walk inside, the ground is still that hard, cobbled floor, but this immediate warmth sort of washes over your sort of wet body, as just next to the door itself is this great fireplace. You can look around and you see, about 4 tables or so, where it looks like some people are just sort of hanging out, finding some respite from this rain. But the moment you turn to the left and see Samantha, you find actually this burning hearth, where it looks like a nice fire and lounge area are waiting for you.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, that's a dwarf.
Who wants to control Dave Javen tonight, guys?
Oh, I can do it. I'll just put him at the bar, and then that's who he'll stay for the rest of the session.
You
No,
want
I better
control
not.
shit? Okay.
No.
Anyone else want to play Big Old Dragon Boy?
I'll take him.
Okay, here you go, Gregory.
I haven't got a chance to punch boys yet.
Don't say that. As yeah, you guys are basically ushered into this somewhat cozy building. You see a couple of people sitting at their tables, just sort of going over their own wares. Like, you see, it looks like a dwarf or so talking to another one who's sort of slouched over his drink, spilling across the table. Some people talking, looks like a couple of dice spilling out across the table. And the man sort of tending to the bar is this somewhat well-dressed looking individual, wearing these very fine, I'd say fine, but they're somewhat dingy in condition looking clothing, like a dark suit with a tapered collar of white. What really stands out is his sort of sunken-in eyes, the sort of pear-shaped head, and just this mess of crimson hair that starts off as a crop on his head, and then is just this sort of bulbous mess on his face. As he sees you enter, he turns his head, and you can see one eye open large, the other somewhat small, as he looks you over and gives you somewhat of a punch-drunk grin, a few teeth missing from his mouth. Oh, look at that! A bunch of rats coming in, all soaked from the rain. Oh, come on, rats. Get you a good drink in ya.
Howdy, sir. We need true.
We're in need of rooms and lodging.
Rooms? I don't got much for ya. Plenty of people caught in here, staying within these rooms, trying to get out of that weather. I only got 4 to spare. How many got in your party? 1, 2, 3 of you?
We've got 6.
Or 6 here?
I'm sure some people can double up, it's fine.
You don't mind sharing a bed? Certainly.
Yeah.
It'd be 5
You
silver.
girls mind sharing a room?
Fine, Gregory. We'll take the 4. I will give him his 5, 2 gold pieces.
Alright then. 2 gold pieces?
That's
Alright.
Just lost 900 gold pieces, apparently, right there, and gained 17 shields.
17 shields. As he takes your coins, you see him already lining up some pints on the house for being so hospitable. Yeah. As he starts lining up, looks like he's pouring out some beer for you guys. It smells pretty strong and bitter, like some sort of barley. And slides it off to you, Quill and Javen, and one somewhat sliding its way down to you, Gregory, not quite making it to you.
What's your name?
As James just kind of slap out and grab it, hand it over. Yeah, I've got. I don't know Javen's voice.
Yeah, it's like Gregory's but quieter and slower. It's like, yeah.
I've got 1,400 gold to spend. I'm looking to get drunk. Give me it all.
And she just puts 1,400 gold on the bar.
Give me whatever the finest you've
buys
got.
the bar.
The finest you've got, then.
Sample what you've got up here in the north.
All right, then. Well, the best I can offer you is some fire spit. Though I don't think it'll have much effect on you. Better take the whole bottle. As he hands over this bright red bottle that seems, as he opens it up, it sort of looks like it's letting out some steam, like a nice, refined wine would, but instead it's dark and coarse, like smoke pouring out from the edge.
This'll be something. How much do I owe you?
You want the whole thing? Can't charge less than 5 gold pieces for it.
That sounds good to me.
There's a certain affect
Javen's buddy.
that's just, I think, just lost in translation. I don't know.
All right, well, we got rooms.
I'll go and hand Gregory a key, and I'll go grab Luna, Persephone, and then Samantha a key.
Yeah. So the boys get 1 key, and the girls each get their own key.
Do we each have
That's
individual rooms? So I thought did we get 2 rooms? 1 for the boys, 1 for the girls, or?
We got 4 in total.
Got 4 rooms. You each get 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Javen, you know him, he probably end up spending his night in the bar, and Quill and I'll...
I don't need to sleep. I'll just sit out here and meditate.
Sorry about that. Yeah, right. So, I feel like I heard something, but I wasn't really sure. Should we go to the rooms and talk? We talk. What's the plan?
What does Luna look like right now?
Luna just has her arm on that little countertop that's usually above fireplace. Just staring into the fire. Yeah, the mantle. Just leaning on the mantle, just staring into fire. Just her skin is even paler than normal.
You okay, Luna? Miss Persephone's gonna come up next to you.
Yes, I'm totally fine. You know, the man that I killed is completely alive. I'm totally fine.
What do you mean?
What? Maybe we should go to our room to talk about this. You know, away from prying eyes.
We said we weren't going to be heckling the locals about things. I don't know how included we wanted everybody to be.
Come on, let's go.
Oh, alright.
Well, obviously I'm going to go over this table and grab these 12 gold pieces and then walk away with them.
Yeah, you do see a table with unattended gold on it.
Oh, that's when you say it's a bag of potato chips.
Jay, we heading up to the room for a little bit. You coming?
Is that actually there, God?
You're good. You're there. Yeah.
Someone leave all their money on the table.
It's a tip.
Like you see the man sort of sitting at the table looking back at you. Oh, that's Lord Lynch's things there. He ran off in a hurry in the middle of the night. I wouldn't go touching it. Don't want to make enemies with the mayor.
Ah, appreciate the information.
Samantha would try to steal a waiter's tip.
Mm-hmm.
Samantha wouldn't tip to begin with.
I mean,
You should steal the waiter.
is
Well, I mean,
tipping
you steal
a
other
fucking
people's
thing?
tips. Why not? It's a thing in Europe. It's not mandatory
it's not.
like it
really.
is
No, it
in
isn't.
the United
It's-
States.
No,
Yeah, it really isn't.
You still
As you guys-
tip for services.
no, there's
I think it's really
Yeah,
rude
it's just really rude.
out there.
In almost every European country.
Yeah, it's
Dead
the
ass.
culture that basically, like, if you hand someone extra money, it's like, hey, it's like, in here, it's like, hey, yeah, absolutely, I appreciate that. But there, it's like, well, I'm already being paid for that, I guess.
They get paid well.
it's
They get
a different culture, my
like
friend.
$20 an hour sometimes.
But yeah, you guys are walking up the stairs, and again, you can,
I don't
Give that for a second.
you can hear the actual wood beneath your feet creaking and giving way as this place has to have been around for quite some time. Even you, Greg, are used to some old accommodations back in Oakwell. Even the place you live in seems like it's been around for at least maybe 80 or so years. This is some like early Mobian stuff. This is like the walls are a bit close to your shoulders. You and Quill are sort of having to keep your arms to yourselves without bumping the walls. But eventually, make your way up to this level where, again, the floors are all wooden. It looks relatively well kept. There's lots of fur rugs on the ground. Walking across them, you do feel the floor give a little softer give beneath them. Might be just to cover some flaws. But you find your rooms, all 4 of them. Pretty decently sized, only about like 15 by 15 though. Enough for a cot and a few, like a chest for belongings. Definitely worth the, makes sense for that, for the poor accommodations, for the poor pay.
Right.
Right. We don't have to
What's
wedge
what's
ourselves
the
in
plan?
here, but
Everyone in, I need to talk to you all, especially Quill. You don't know anything.
No, well, I mean, we're here to find your family. Do you know this Eric Gelner?
yeah, I was wondering about that because that's what's your last name, right?
So, Gregory, you already kind of know. Basically, after my parents disappeared, I was on the streets for a while before I got picked up by a man, the physician of this town, Eric Gelner, who
Oh, yes, the doctor.
I found, like several years later, I found bodies underneath the garden.
Yes.
And I guess I kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
I guess looking back at it now, it could have been anything, but I freaked out at the time and I killed him.
Oh, all right.
Luna, Eric Gelner, he
That's
was in.
Quill.
That's the problem. I killed him.
And he's not.
Wait, are you sure that you killed him?
Yeah, you. I mean, you were what? You were a kid at the time, right? Maybe.
I was
mean,
like 17.
you
This is like
cut a
6
man
years
and it.
Knowing
maybe
Luna,
he
she
didn't
most
die.
likely used magic.
And even if he wasn't dead, he would definitely have been injured.
Right.
And there's no talk about that. He just seems completely fine.
The clock tower still looked a little damaged, though.
I mean, it sounds like he's a doctor. I mean, maybe he just bashed himself up, right?
But I think what we're forgetting is you found a garden full of dead bodies. Why didn't you report this to the authorities?
I freaked out, thought I killed him, and ran away.
Right.
As,
So why don't we go and investigate to see if there are any more bodies? Turn him into the authorities,
do you
and
think...
no one will believe him.
I don't understand. Quill, I want you to consider a bunch of outsiders going to the establishment of a physician, somebody that's probably looked very highly upon in this town, and start digging up his rose garden.
Well, we just don't walk in there and dig it up. And surely they will believe a noble from the land of Tyrion.
It's also completely. It's been 6 years. It's probably been moved. Oh, who's a noble? What? Wait a minute.
But
But you would- No? Wait, what?
Of course I am. Do you not know that? Have you not? I've told you
He
these
is a
things.
knight.
I mean, I don't
I'm
listen
a
to
knight.
you when I like hardly ever listen to you, honest.
That's fair, Luna.
Has
Being a
minor
noble might-
nobility.
Being a noble might get you some respect here, but I'm not entirely sure if that's credible enough to just start digging up a garden of a man that until now you didn't know.
Yes, you are quite far away from Tyria, in a place that is not, well, she just kind of gestures around to the room in its poor accommodations. I don't think there's an ambassador here.
Wait.
So hold on though. But Luna, you ain't in trouble then, right? Because, I mean, you obviously didn't kill him.
It
So,
would be assault.
No, I didn't see any wanted posters, so
I mean, that was a long
I'm
time
not
ago.
wanted.
Yeah, I mean, he probably don't feel kindly about you.
Wait, do you?
So you're saying he was killing people and
Is
putting them
that why they are the
underneath
haunts?
dirt in his
I mean, I also said that I don't really know. All I said is I found bodies in the garden. It could have been anything. Just at the time, it looked bad.
They looked small.
Wait,
I don't
You
know.
sure they
I
were
thought you described
people?
them small.
Because people, they bear the pets and things in the garden.
I think I would know the difference between a cat and a human body.
Oh, alright. A long time ago,
I mean, this Eric Gallner that took you in, were there other children with you there, or were you by yourself? Were there weird
Were
disappearances?
there other children with us?
Yeah.
Because there were children. There were other orphans, basically.
So he was
He kinda took
running
care
a
of.
sort of impromptu orphanage.
Kind of. No one really paid us any attention.
Okay, think
He
really,
did.
really hard. Were the other children sick?
Sure, some of them weren't, but
Were
well,
they
maybe
slowly
they
but
just
surely
died.
disappearing, or I don't know why he would. I'm assuming the people that you found in the garden were like recent, right? They weren't like old skeletons or something, were they?
they were mostly still composed, I guess you could say, rather than decomposed.
Oh,
Okay, so they died
right.
recently, and
that makes more sense then.
were the children in this house with you that were just disappearing over time? One day little, I don't know, Timmy was there, and then the next day he wasn't?
I didn't really pay much attention to anybody else.
Sounds like you. She says with a smile.
So either this fellow is a doctor that ran an orphanage, and
No.
and then Luna just didn't see what she thought she saw, or he was running an orphanage and killing the kids and burying them in a garden. I'm not saying you're lying, Luna. Why?
Well,
I mean, no one didn't notice that he was snatching up kids.
If the kids no one wants, no one pays any attention to them.
I mean, surely some of them have survived. I mean, you must know some of the children that eventually moved out.
I did not pay attention to them.
And she sort of ran off before she had a chance to see if anyone grew up.
Did he confront you about what you saw or something? You didn't go hunt him down and find him in the study or something?
No,
I'm sorry
she
to press
freaked
you
out,
for
she
this
said.
information. I know it has to be. She just kind of like looks you over, just kind of stares intently at your face. somewhat traumatic.
He found you digging up the bodies, didn't he?
You say that like you don't already know, Persephone.
Dreams can be very misleading, Luna.
Well,
Wait,
you
what?
had another dream.
No.
Apparently, Persephone has this thing about invading other people's privacies.
I told you if I had any control over it, I assure you I wouldn't be there. Most of the time, I'm just in a really...
alright, y'all, what?
Right,
Ever
so
since we went into the Elder Bark, I've been appearing in other people's dreams. It started with Marjorie. The other night, I was in Luna's. And it was more like a memory than just a random dream. So I saw a lot.
Yeah.
I have never been more happy that I don't sleep.
I mean, I don't dream.
You don't?
No, I just meditate.
So, Perth, what you saw Luna find bodies of kids in the ground, and then fella found her doing it? I mean, that was a dream. Is that what happened, Luna?
Sometimes you can have dreams of things that have happened to you, like reliving a memory. That's what this kind of felt like. And everything that Luna's been saying sounds pretty much like the dream.
Okay.
Like, where do your memories start, Luna? I understand you don't remember much, but do you remember living with this fellow?
Yes, my memories start after I woke up in the hospital after my family left.
So at Gelner's.
Yes.
I mean, what?
Well, how old were you? Did you have a birthday party anytime soon afterwards? Did you celebrate birthdays here in Mobia, correct?
I mean, I'm assuming if she was abandoned, she didn't have no memories, she wouldn't know when her birthday was.
Or maybe she would know if it'd been a year.
Didn't you live with him for a while, right? Like 10 years or something? Over 10?
It wasn't quite 10 years, but I lived with him for quite a while.
I mean, is there anything that make you think something wrong was going on? You didn't, hell. You know what I mean? You didn't do anything,
nefarious
right?
things beforehand.
Yeah.
Well,
Men are capable of quite unfortunate evils when left to their own devices, especially when it comes to children. It seems Eric is no exception. Do you think he'll recognize you?
I mean, after what I attempted to do with him, I don't think you can forget my face.
we might just use magic or something to change it.
See, I don't have that. Samantha does. I don't have that.
I mean, some ain't really adding up, right? Like, you live with this fella for almost 10 years or so, and since the beginning, were there kids before you, or were you sort of the first? And
She didn't pay attention, she said.
I knew there were kids before me. Like I said, he picked up the kids that nobody else wanted.
so kids came and went for 10 years, but
I assume they were either adopted or they just ran away. A lot of them actually did run away.
alright.
I don't want to be too forward here, but I think we need to come up with a plan.
We don't
And I
do
think
very
I've got
well
a
with
decent
plans.
plan. Well, I have Persephone. You are a change your shape into creatures. Beasts
Yeah.
of the land.
Yeah, I was...
Could you not go and investigate his garden and what burrows and digs? No one would suspect a badger or a weasel digging through the garden. Samantha, you are skilled in deception and conversation. Could you not ask to living with this Gelner and see what the locals could tell you with your silver tongue? When we discover what is actually happening, we can then decide, do we need to go and bring this to the authorities, or do we need to go handle this on our own?
We also only have an hour until we're speaking to him.
Well, then we must get moving quickly.
A sharp burst of thunder as you were saying some of that. Did you want me to talk to some of the locals and find their views on Dr. Gelner? Was that what you were saying?
Indeed, and perhaps hear if he still keeps children or brings in orphans. If anyone can talk up this village of interesting characters, simpletons, perhaps, I'm sure you are well capable, Samantha.
Well, I appreciate your recognition of my talents. Samantha just stands up. You all are wearing your rings, yes?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, I got this from Clyde.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, then.
Oh, that's a good question.
I feel like probably someone's gonna come tell us when to go see. But hell, I don't know.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll see what information I can gather.
Good. Persephone, do you need someone to come with you to the garden to be a lookout?
That would probably help. I don't know if the ring would work too well as I'm digging, but it's worth a shot.
Fair enough. Luna, is there anything that you need? Anything that we can do to help you in this time of perplexiness?
Quiet and darkness.
Right.
Fair enough. Meet back here in 45 minutes, then.
I was actually gonna go try to look at the local church and see. They mentioned how they ain't really got any holy men to fight off what in the hell is causing this nonsense.
That's a great idea, Gregory.
I don't know if I'll learn much, but it's worth a try. I don't really feel good just leaving you here, though, Luna. Don't worry. She and I'll have a nice drink. Ain't that right, Luna?
Chafin, I don't drink alcohol.
Well, this is a good enough time as any to start, is what I say.
Good. If only we knew someone that could speak to spirits. We could get to the bottom of this more quickly.
I'll try to be back as soon as I can, alright? I'll leave it to you, Jay. Hell. Hell.
Okay, so it seems like the Valiant Vanguard is splitting up to do some investigation into this strange, mysterious matter. Persephone and Quill, I'm assuming, are going off to go, as best they can, investigate the garden with some, maybe a bit of subtle magic to help guise their attempts. Greg's gonna go check out this, apparently, somewhat, the abandoned church. Samantha's gonna go carouse the locals and gather what information she can from them, and I guess Luna and Javen are staying behind, do their own thing. Let's see. Start with Samantha.
Got his bottle in hand. You said it was fire spit?
Fire spit. It's this bright red bottle that, as long as it's open, it's literally smoking.
lol.
Yeah. As we'll start off with Samantha. You come down to this open area. You know there was more to this town than this dingy little tavern, but there are some people here. You can see it looks like this older man who no one quite got the name of, despite their attempts. Older man with red hair sitting there cleaning off, looks like the last of the tankards he handed out to you guys. You see it looks like just some ruffians, some rough and tumble looking guys, possibly other adventurers passing through town. Looks like some common folk wearing sort of similar outfit to this other man who looks like they're kind of wearing this like straight black clothing with like white, almost like dress clothing of sorts, although it looks like it needs some maintenance. And sitting across the table from this other man who's just sort of sipping quietly at his drink is this very stout and hardy looking dwarf. Looks like he's got something in his mouth, this large, thick, looks like a mound of something that's currently smoking and filling up the room with this sort of harsh, planty tobacco smell. What do you want to do?
Is this...
Yep, it looks like they kind of turn their eye your way when you approach. They don't quite give you too much of the attention, as it seems like this man is currently holding the cup and shaking these dice around, as he's basically, it looks like he's trying to set up the next game.
Gotcha.
Miny Mo?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
These two, were they already talking to each other, or just both quietly sitting there?
So one man is currently slumped across the table. It looks like he's resting his eyes for a moment, but then you can see the spilling of his tankard, as it looks like he's possibly had way too much to drink. The other man seems like, I don't know if he's really enjoying his company, or if he just seems to be just enjoying his seat, as he's quietly sipping away at what you can now tell with your, I would say, discerning scent for the alcoholic beverages. Just seems like some simple beer, as he sees you approach and just kind of gives you a nod and turns his eyes away.
May I bother you for a bit of conversation?
Looks over at the man slumped to his side and looks back up to you and reaches up and puffs on it. Now it's clear the stubby end of a cigar is better than him. As he reaches over, puts a big worn boot across this man's body and kicks him off onto the ground. Take seat.
Yes, Samantha. Before pulling out a chair. So, I have come with a few of my, friends, I suppose. We have a bit of a medical emergency that we're supposed to attend to. All I know is the coin at the end of it that I'm looking forward to. But I think we have to meet with some Dr. Gelner, I think was the name I was told.
Dr. Gelner, he is this, supposedly renowned physician, if that is word to say. I do not spend time with him. I am perfectly healthy. Takes another sip of his beer and then puff his cigar.
Of course. You're from around here, right?
Lived here for many years, as he extends a large and apparently still dirty and callus-covered hand your way. Gardener Wares. Worked over at the Hooked Hand.
Oh, as I just take his dirty hand as daintily as I possibly can. Samantha Deus. Member, I suppose, leader of the Valiant Vanguard.
Sounds like adventuring group. Must be adventurer.
Something like that.
You heard of town of Oakwell? People love adventuring from there.
That is actually where we're stationed.
Oh, full mystery solved. Connor is great at this.
That you are. So, this Dr. Gelner, he's been around for a long time?
Very long time, actually. They've been in town since, let's see, been 1, 2, 3, 4, about 60 years or so. He's been around about the same time.
60 years. That's quite a long time for him to be practicing medicine. Is he an elf or something? Or is he just an old man now?
It's hard to say. He looks human. Looks way too young to be. What a human look is 60 years. They get to the beard and the long hair and the
He starts to
wrinkles.
go grey, and yes, it's a quite unsightly thing, isn't it?
I do not think it's so bad as he brushes past his own grey hair.
It looks well on you, though, of course. Like you
Oh,
said,
gray
you're
hair,
in.
ugly as shit, huh?
Like you said, you are in perfect health. So, he's been around for 60 years practicing medicine. I assume he does a pretty good job of it then. Everyone still goes to him, pays him what he's due.
From what I hear, everyone in town seems to like him. Do not speak to him much, mostly observe. He is apparently a very good man. Well, been through some hard times though. Been through quite a bit.
He has?
But works in that clock tower of a laboratory of his. Suffered the Great Fire. Used to care for children. Fire killed all the children. No more children. Poor doctor.
He used to take care of children. I assume, like orphans and like. That is truly unfortunate. There was a great fire.
The terrible haunting. Spirits of this place bring great black flame to that tower. Burned the garden, burned most of his home. Somehow he survived. Think he was in his basement. That building is quite old, you see. Used to be a noble home. But somehow he has since made it into his own residence. Possibly due to contributions to the town. Who would think a useful man gets good things? That's why I'm here.
It is unfortunate. When was this great fire?
That's about 1, 2, 3, 4. About 5, 6, maybe almost 7 years ago. It was not there when it happened. Came back to town from visit to home.
So look at this guy. What does it stand out to me? What is he? Is he like a dwarf or something?
He is a dwarf.
Okay.
He's a very tall dwarf. He looks like his arms and legs reach harder to the ground than what you would expect. But besides that, he has a very well-kept beard. It looks like he has some burns from his cigar, and it looks like... But to give you a better picture of him, he currently has a pair of goggles pulled back across his face, and one of his eyes seems to be dulled as if he had lost its sight. But he looks like very dwarvish, but you don't see much like... Lots of dwarves like to wear some sorts of emblems upon them from their home country, but this man... No, he just seems to be wearing like nice pair of overalls, a bit dirty, covered in looks like some sort of black residue, like oil or something. He smells like he has been underground and mixed with metal and smoke and all sorts of bar adulteries. I'm getting really good at this.
If you don't mind me asking, Kana, what is it you do? You said you work or you own a shop here?
I'm Smith. Everyone needs dwarf smith in town. They're best.
That is true. This is true. Assume you're from Drakova with the way that you carry yourself and your voice.
I was born there. Lived many years. Came here. Not my favorite place anymore. Do not appreciate my work.
That's unfortunate. Good work is hard to come by. I presume yours is good. I'll have to take a look sometime. I think we might be in town.
You see it every time you come into town.
What do you mean?
Tick tock, tick tock. They say gnomes build it. I help put it together.
Very well done. Very well done. Well, to sort of look around the the rest of the tavern. And see Jessica come down the stairs. I think I would just go ahead and switch into small talk mode and just shoot the shit for a little bit. I am out of questions I can think of at the moment.
Certainly. He would buy you a drink and spend some time just simply talking about what he puts together. Seems to very much enjoy simple, not weaponry or anything of the craft, but he enjoys common metal tools like horseshoes and saddles and all sorts of things that people across town would need. No one appreciates his work. Okay. Rest. We'll cut to from there. Persephone and Quill making their way across town. Again, you come back outside, and it's pretty evident that the moment you do, that warmth from the hearth is immediately swallowed up by this sort of bitter, stinging, cold rain, as it is still pouring outside. Not quite as bad as it was before, but still coming down. Quill is just shoving berries in his mouth.
Good berries.
And so what are you guys up to?
Persephone's making her way back towards the clock tower.
All right. Guys, I guess I'm doing the voice. It's too fun. Okay, you guys make your way out of the main town.
It is I, Dog Dinner Gilner.
No! You have come to Mother Russia!
You guys make your way out to this large laboratory. Again, it only takes about 20 minutes to get back there, and as you're passing by, yeah, you do see those flowers now, those bright roses sort of filling out this garden. Quill and Persephone, give me perception checks as you're traveling.
Making our way down south, walking fast.
Hey.
Yeah, Persephone, your eyes are relatively focused ahead, just looking for that garden, just trying to figure out, okay, what form may be best to help figure this out, or trying to figure out a plan or something, a little distracted. Quill,
I know how to stay sharp in a city. I know how to guard people.
As you're walking through this town with Persephone, sort of letting her lead the way, but keeping your eyes peeled, just like that one guard, you are looking around. You do hear the sounds. It looks like footsteps or something, like boots clattering across puddles. But you turn and you look, and you see nothing. And you hear the rattling of something like a door opening next to you to one of these buildings, as if someone's trying to throw it open. And the door opens itself for a moment, and you look. There's nothing there. And with that score, And with that score, as you're walking further, getting closer to this building, you just happen to gaze up, looking for maybe trying to see if there's a parting in the clouds eventually. And you can see this hanging, looks like clothesline of sorts, or people are, unfortunately, well, why would they be hanging their clothes up in the rain? But it does look like something's hanging up there. You do see these small little bundles of, well, it's kind of hard to tell, even with your dark vision, without color or really discernation. It just looks like something's just hanging from these clotheslines. They're like, almost like small and stalactite-like. And every once in a while, you can sort of see one twinge a little bit.
What?
I think it's some kind of creature on the line. Maybe you could talk to it, I don't know.
I have more luck talking with plants, but I also don't talk to really smart animals either. How far up is that clothesline?
It's only about like 20 or so feet up. Again, it's not particularly out of reach, but it's enough to where it looks like someone's hanging clothes. They're all sort of tapering down to these sharp points, but then you realize it's raining. Why would you do that? And now you can see, now that Quill points them out to you, they're sort of like quivering a little bit.
You know what? You might be right. I think I remember seeing some creatures hanging from trees.
Like a bat.
No. Bats don't hang off of trees with their tails.
Oh, look. But like some kind of monkey.
Like some type of rodent.
Definitely looks weird, though. As you're looking at it, Persephone, give me a nature check. Like, you can see, now that you're actually staring at it, and some of the light, the slightest moonlight sort of reaching through, maybe the light of the surrounding building sort of reaching it, doesn't quite look like a big thing hanging from its tail. Again, it looks almost like stalactite, like there's no real defining features other than you can see like the soft sheen of skin, and every once in a while, like patches of hair on it, like a hairy skin flesh stalactite. You ever see once in a while like this flap of membrane sort of flutters across it and shifts itself.
Oh no, wait, yeah, that might be a bat. Actually, that might be a bat.
Do you want me to wake it?
No, we're going to be tight on time. It's already a long walk.
Good.
Maybe later.
Okay. You guys make your way forward, eventually reach the laboratory. You do find that large garden spread behind it. It's sort of beautiful in the rain. You can see the petals start to shift and basically topple over with the weight, the water filling up their little cup-shaped flower heads. But, yeah. You remember Persephone seeing this place in a different light through Luna's perspective, and beautiful as it is, it's still quite grim. What do you guys do?
Persephone's standing at a distance. She's
Just gonna look at Quill, and I can't guarantee that I would be able to hear you, but I'm going to try to keep the ring on me, and let me know if I should leave.
I'll do my best.
I'm going to check out the rose garden.
and I'm going to wild shape into a badger.
A badger!
A badger! But I'm going to try to keep the ring on one of my little claws. In hopes that I can...
The honey badger.
I mean, you can choose what gets
Or a
morphed
bracelet.
into you, or what doesn't get morphed into you, right?
You do.
We had this long conversation. It's basically, it's supposed to be worn the way it's supposed to be worn, and it can't change.
I understand that. I'm just thinking right now because
I know I can't cast and speak into it.
I would say you would know if you're turning into just a badger. Like, the ring itself is basically fitted to your finger. It did seem to help resize itself to you, but badgers don't quite have the phalanges to hold them. They have mostly claws on their little stubby hands. Like, if you did, it would probably hang around your claw, and that's not quite wearing it. You'd probably have to transform into something that actually has fingers similar to yours to actually maintain the ring. And even so, you would also know, you would only be able to hear things, you wouldn't be able to say anything into them.
Yeah, I'm trying to go for something that I can still hear through.
Yeah. Honestly, the only thing that could possibly come to mind would possibly be something with close to fingers closer to your size. Maybe just a size smaller. An ape would be a good example, but with your current placement of your ring, it's a little hard.
Look at that possum with his little fingers.
Too small.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just put it around its tail.
But then...
Haha.
I don't know. If you want to try, I'll tell you what may or may not work. If you want to try something, you can go ahead and try it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of burrowing rodents that I can still hold the ring with.
And the hard part there will just be like your claws. The tools you use to burrow are probably going to be hard things to wear rings on. Mm-hmm. Something else to wear the ring on.
Let's go for it. I'll just shout.
Squirrels can dig. Right?
Who did that?
Not in D&D.
Not in D&D.
A little bit they can. They bury stuff, but they don't dig tunnels. Well, some dig tunnels. Some dig tunnels.
What about a mole?
Yeah. That again be hard to wear on your same thing. Hard to be wearing a ring on your claw finger, but you can get it digging.
But would my hand be small enough that I could probably put the ring like on my hand?
If you're an itty bitty tiny little mole? Possibly.
Really small.
Nah,
possibly.
You're good.
And you're still
if you were an itty, like if you were like a one so small you could hold in your hand, possibly.
But then it'll take you forever to go through the garden.
Yeah, no. I'm just gonna go for a...
Yeah, you know what? Actually, this ring thing isn't gonna work. Just... I trust you to figure something out. I'm gonna go to the garden.
And I'm gonna continue to wild shape into a badger. Just badger to the rose bushes.
What's it looking when you wild shape again? I want to know. It's been a hot minute.
It's got a soft green glow, like my body's like almost like encased in this light as it goes into one, like a sphere of sorts, and then reforms itself into the silhouette of the creature I'm transforming into before revealing myself. And sometimes I look like I jumped out of like a fey forest, but this time I'm going for inconspicuous, so I look like a normal badger.
So you
magical girl transform into animals.
Except when you come back out, it's horrifying. It looks like Animorphs.
Inconspicuously.
Not like a bright light, just,
As you softly glow, and like similar to the vein of starlight, shedding a gentle little glow from your body as your form seems to shift, and then when the light fades, you are no longer Persephone the elf, but you are Persephone the bad, and you flop down into this flower bed and start to dig around, I'm assuming, looking for anything particular. What are you doing?
I'm actually going to see... I remember Luna found trinkets in these rose bushes. Mm-hmm. So as I'm digging through, I'm trying to see if I can see trinkets too. So I never figured out where those came from.
Roll me an investigation check.
Oh boy.
Do I have to use the badger thing?
You still have your brain. You still have your brain, girl.
Yes.
I call her more
DM inspiration. Oh, you didn't use your DM inspiration.
No, I didn't. No.
Yep, as you're digging around, it's unlike when you're like suddenly forced into an animal form. You're still you, Persephone. You have your personality, your mind, your senses, and you're actually gaining some of the badgers as well, because as you're putting these claws across the ground and scraping to and fro, you can kind of feel like the soft reverberation of the earth beneath your paws. Almost like you almost feel like a strange, almost, considering the context, unnerving sensation as something is moving beneath the earth, and it's just worms. Some kind of tasty looking worms. As you continue to dig around, looking for something that stands out, something not natural. Nothing really catches your eye. You just sort of find the soft flower bed and the creatures living beneath its surface.
And then, not finding anything close to the surface, I'm just going to just start digging straight downwards.
Just going straight down to the earth?
Yes, just dig down.
Okay.
Dig down.
Roll me another investigation check.
This is where my inspiration's getting used.
Yeah, finally using my Minecraft rule. Down.
You're digging deeper.
Straight down.
Just straight down.
And all the answers straight down.
Went into lava, you're dead.
Perfect squares, each cube removed.
As you begin to dig down deeper and deeper into the earth, you're actually quite good at it in this new form. Your claws are almost like shovels, and this earth is, at least the beginning level, was nice and soft because it's a garden you're digging in. And you just decide to go straight down in the middle of the spot in the garden. And you do end up sort of striking something with the tip of your claw, something that's not quite rock, as you pull something away, and you do see it looks like just the slightest little scrap of something that sticks to the end of your claws, and you pull it back, and in your dark vision, in this small tunnel, you can see, devoid of color, this small scrap of, it looks like frayed cloth. Probably been buried here for quite some time.
Can I keep trying to dig around that site to see if I can reveal more of where it came from?
Sure. It's been about so far 5 minutes in terms of your little excursion. You're quite quick at digging with these little... if you're just looking around the area, you go like the entire garden, or like how big of an area?
No. Just within 5 feet, because I don't want to stick around for too long. I'm just trying to get in, find something or not, and get out.
Sure. Digging around that circle. Again, you're looking around, you're sort of softening the earth all around you, sort of making your own little burrow within this garden. Something fit for a badger. And sort of keeping that little piece of cloth next to you, maybe even try to use it to try and locate others with your little badger nose. You don't find any other pieces. It just seems like this is the only thing that remains intact. You do find, like, every once in a while, maybe possibly a part of it, like these small little slivers of, I mean, it's either some root or it's a string of linen or cotton or something, but only scraps, basically.
All right. And after I've burrowed, I am gonna try to collect the scraps and burrow my way up with them.
Mm-hmm. What's Quill doing this time while Persephone the badger just digs into the ground and vanishes?
Badger.
I'm just looking around, kind of getting a lay of the town, figuring out kind of how the streets are laid out, seeing what would be possible choke points or escape routes if things go bad.
Sure. You do know, besides the small wall that surrounds the city, the strange thing about this Garen's Well is it's a small town, a lot smaller than Oakwell, but it's kind of packed. The buildings are somewhat close together, It looks like if you found yourself in a bad spot here, you might get stuck in an alleyway, maybe find a dead end somewhere. You do see one definite dead end past a couple ways, using the lights of these soft glowing lanterns to sort of guide your vision. It looks like if you had to chase someone down, this would be a great place to corner someone, but you'd have to probably keep an opening area to your back, otherwise you yourself might be trapped. But yeah, I guess Persephone's digging around. You do kind of look over, and every once in a while you can see this mound where she's come from, sort of like spit up a spurt of dirt as she's digging away, until eventually these kind of tiny little claws grab the edge and pull this soft little white and black head up from its surface.
Yes, I dig and I try to cover my burrow with the dirt that I dispersed, and then I'm just gonna go back to Quill and reform with the scraps that I found in my hand.
Gotcha.
Did you find anything?
I found these, but nothing bigger.
Oh, man.
You hold the scrap of cloth, Persephone. Now that under lantern light, you can get a bit color back to your vision. It looks like there would have been the slightest form of color on here, but instead this piece of cloth is like gray with Mars of black around the edge, and then sort of like you move your hand away from it, and some of that darkness sticks to your skin.
Wait a minute.
What?
I fiddle with the black stuff, and I watch as the darkness. Does it looks like what I saw in the dream?
It looks like it's sticking to your skin because it's getting wet now in the rain, and whatever it is, this dark black residue is starting to wet up in your hand as well and drip away, as it looks like you got like soot on you.
Okay, and I'm gonna cover the scrap of cloth again.
We should get back to the inn.
It's fair enough.
Well,
Let's go.
Oh no, everybody froze on me.
Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh.
Can you still hear?
Yeah, I
Quill?
can hear you guys now, but
Okay.
I said we should take this back to the inn, and I'm gonna cover it with my hand so it doesn't get wet anymore.
Right, let's go.
Okay.
I'll be making note as we walk back to see like possible choke points and exits and things, and maybe places to corner people.
Oh yeah. Again, you're seeing quite a few of them, especially as you near like you guys sort of came from the edge of town closer to the center, and now that you're actually gazing past these large buildings towards the center, these buildings seem like they just sort of replace to and fro. There's some sort of semblance of, organization here. Not quite as much as you'd expect in a city. It looks sort of like a small ramshackle town. You suspect there's probably some alleyways that lead nowhere where, you could probably corner someone if need be. And you could probably draw upon that knowledge if needed later.
Mm-hmm.
And during all of this, another man has excavated the mangy hound and made his way out into the town of Garen's Well, walking by himself in the rain. Gregory, you're heading around looking for something of a temple. It's a little hard to actually see out here as the night's getting longer because it seems like as the rain falls around you, it seems to be pitter-pattering against these lanterns lit across the walls. And it seems like they're not quite shedding as bright as light as usual. It's sort of like your vision is sort of this spotted tunnel between these buildings.
If I see anybody by a window or something, I'll try to just sort of holler out to, "Hey, I'm sorry, but you know where the temple is, the church around here, sir?"
Yep, you tap on a window. You see some lights on, and you see like a shadow moving inside, but then blinds seem to close in front of you, and looking around, you'll see a guard every once in a while, maybe just pass around a corner, or at least the shadow of one, but not a whole lot of people out at night in this town.
I see a guard walking away, I'll try to chase him. "Hey, sir! Hey, excuse me! Hey! Hello?"
Oh, hey, what are you doing out by yourself? Here, how may I help you? You lost?
Sorta, yeah, just got into town. I'm looking for the church, so I'll show my respects. About all. I heard that it wasn't exactly well staffed or nothing, but there's somebody following or leading the herd here, right?
I can show you to where the Silver Light Circle resides, but I'm going to tell you now, sir, if you're looking for a clergyman or a priest to speak with, There is no such thing here, at least not anymore. The temple is owned by the mayor, but it's something in a state of disarray. But I can still show you.
I mean, is it open? If I can't get in...
I mean, the doors are always open for those who need to seek the gods. But I can only warn you, if you're looking for a voice to speak to, you may not find one there. Although, some people do like to find their knights there. When things get a bit harrowing here in this town, some people take shelter within the temple.
Right, alright. Yeah, if you could show me the way, I'd like to pay my respects one way or another.
Alright, follow me then.
Appreciate it.
Stay close.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what'd you know?
Oh, the name is Derek.
Nice to meet you, Derek. I'm Gregor Timberson. I'm actually down from Oakwell.
Oh, you know, I have a brother who actually lives in Oakwell, and I haven't seen him in quite some time.
Really? I mean, I've lived there all my life. What was his name?
It's been so long. You've probably seen him around town. Sort of a long face. I hate to say it, but doesn't quite have my own handsome features. Not quite a great-looking man. I think he's a guard there.
I've come to learn a decent amount of gods. What's the name? You might have said it, but I didn't hear.
What's that?
What's his name?
What was it?
Uh-oh.
Oh my god.
It's the stalker.
Never mind, let's move on.
Won't even tell me his name. Alright. I understand being a... Alright. Never mind, I'll thank you for showing me the way one way or the other.
As he makes his way through town with you, again, it's kind of chilling to be out here. Maybe just the rain pouring all around you, but you do realize, as maybe you're walking once in a while, you'll see another shadow of a guard passing by. Looks like someone just walking down the town next to you, and then you turn and look to see him again, and... Oh, there's no one there. The shadow on the wall, maybe? Maybe a trick of one of these strange... trick of the light with one of these lanterns, but eventually, Derek leads you along to this temple that at first is actually quite illustrious looking. It looks like it's somewhat tall, not quite as tall as the clock tower building, but still somewhat grand in its size. The walls are sort of made of this stone that looks like it's polished or maybe just wet by the rain. It glints like silver. At the top of this small steeple, there's this symbol, this disc that seems to have this fluttering little flame dancing around it, at least in shape. It's quite beautiful and immediately recognizable as the symbol of Sune, but there is something that does catch your eye about this building. The symbol itself has been cracked. There's these like tiny little like vein-shaped like fissures in the metal face itself. The doors and windows of this place seem like they've been cracked and broken for a while, and there are no lights from within. It looks like it would have been probably a beautiful church quite some time ago, but now it's just in a sorry state.
This is a shame. Place could have been. But it was something actually back in the day.
That's what I heard. This is actually a pretty nice place. People who like to seek the light would come here and just sort of enjoy the beauty of the land. But I think ever since the Hawk came, I don't know, faith sort of left it. Place didn't seem like it could be saved.
How long has that been?
Gotta be like, I don't know, at least 60-some years. You ever heard of a place called Evergreen?
I don't know if I have. Remind me.
Well, it was this quaint little town, northern part of Mobia. Lots of grass, lots of trees. Pretty little place. Pretty little place. Never seen it myself, but only heard of it. And something happened one day in this little town of Evergreen. A young man got himself into an accident. stumbled into a bit of trouble along his way and fell down a deep well. No one seemed to get to him in time, but I heard he hit his head or something. It was quite a shame. Ever since then, the little town of Evergreen became kind of a gloomy place. Clouds gathered around, rained all the time, plants kind of grayed, vermin showed up. And sort of repentance of what happened to that poor kid, they changed the name of the town. Named it after old Garen himself.
Oh, hell. Wait, was that... So that's when all this started, huh?
Sounds like it. I wasn't alive at the time. I've always known this place as Garen well, but I would love to see an Evergreen.
Nobody from the church, or nobody's come in, tried to... I mean, y'all been lost for so long.
Oh, there have been people who come down. They don't stay for too long. Used to be that, I remember as a kid, there'd be men of the cloth here quite some time. I think one of them from Oakwell even came up here. Spent some time trying to purge whatever evil lay here, but couldn't quite get it to stick, I guess. So people don't really visit here no more.
Hell. Alright. I got just one more question. It's sort of nonsense. I don't know if you know anything about it, but... Well, I mean, Derek... Kind folk, I suppose. You know, if there's anybody with a reputation around here, maybe some older folk, people known of... I'm from Oakwell, sort of people call themselves adventurers coming in all the damn time, but older couple up here. I don't even know the names though. Stories for a while. Is anybody like that? I'd like to see him. I sort of got a things, but I don't know. You heard about the one? Never mind.
You asked me if I know a couple of adventurers who come here. I mean, we don't get a whole lot of outsiders like you coming through, but I mean, I don't recognize every name or every. I can't remember my brother's name. I wouldn't be able to tell you theirs.
Oh, all right.
I mean, if you're looking for, if there's like, you're looking for someone? Like, are you think they're hurt, or you think they're lost, or just trying to get back in contact?
I was sort of not. Part of the reason why I'm up here was looking for a couple. They were supposed to be strong back in the day. Heard they were heading up north, so yeah, it is. But if you don't know anything, that's all right. It's something of a.
That's all right. Although, I mean, if you're really looking for someone, friend, if there's anyone who probably have a name to give you, I can only imagine it'd be Mayor Lynch. Probably keeps tab everyone comes through town.
Alright, yeah, it makes sense. Well, I'll give that a shot. Maybe when the weather breaks a bit. I guess the weather don't really break with the... Oh, what the hell? I appreciate everything, Derek. I'm just gonna take a minute or two in here, and then I'll head back to the inn. But hey, you done me a solid. Hell. Trudging through the rain for me. Yeah, have some Cohen for your time at the very least. I'm just gonna hand him 5 silver.
Oh, thank you, sir. You say he's from Oakwell again?
Yeah.
A lot of con folk from Oakwell. Go say hi to
Your brother?
That guy, yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask around the god bags to see if anybody's got a brother named.
I think I'll do mighty fine. Maybe I gotta remember that guy's name.
Well,
he takes his coin and leaves you to it.
Yeah, good night, Dirk. That's all. Just walk inside the church. Just have a look around. Not really knowing what the fuck I'm looking for, but seeing that crest symbol is disheartening. The idea that it seemed like this whole haunt thing started with just an unfortunate death, and the clergy just either abandoned this place or something drove them out. He thinks he might find a clue or something within the church, but he has no idea how to even look for it. So he'll just walk up to, the front of the altar, look down at where the pews might be, if they're even still there, and close his eyes. Hell. Alright, you Psalms bitches. And when he opens his eyes again, they'll shine with light, and he'll look around himself, trying to see the nature of this place, see if there's anything holy still here, or if it truly has just completely fallen. I guess I could post it again.
Yeah. As your eyes sort of flash for a moment, and for the next few moments, you can actually feel that connection to the world around you. Your senses become sharp to something you otherwise couldn't actually, interpret or perceive. And you look around this place, and you're hit with a very familiar sensation, Greg. Although not quite as strong as it once was in a long time ago, when you're on an island infested with horrible dread and death. It's no longer screaming at you, but it persists like a low and droning howl. When you open up your senses to this world around you, Greg, you immediately sense this sensation of desecration. It permeates the air. It sort of fills your eyes almost like a fog, this silvery layer that covers everything. You can almost taste it on your tongue. It's not strong, it's just stagnant. This place has been in a bad state for quite some time, but in this church, you do sense something like a glimmer of consecration. You can see the symbol of Sune resting at the top of this altar, still intact, this small little reliquary sitting at the top with her symbol of the sun on it. Sort of gleams to your eye, not in a painful, blinding way, but in sort of a pleasing way, like when you first see the glow of light in a dark end of a tunnel. And ooh, and something else. You sort of look around this place, and behind the altar, you sort of hear this soft, almost ringing sound in your ear. It's almost like a song of sorts, like a soft melody, as you sort of walk around the edge, and you can see it sounds kind of muffled, and you look down, and you can see displayed behind this altar is this long and beautiful ornate rug, and it sounds like the sound's coming from underneath it.
What in the hell? Alright. Just take a corner of the rug and slowly start to peel it away, looking at the door to make sure nobody's watching me.
Oh yeah. You see this large, middle of this sort of marble-looking floor that's been cracked and left in a horrible state recently. It's just this random square stone block that looks like at its center has something of a handle in the middle, although it's indented into the stone so you wouldn't feel it walking on it. It looks like something of a... I mean, you're not really familiar with them in this fashion, but it looks kind of like a trap door, and just sort of lining the outside of it with your eyes still glowing with strange radiance, you can see just like the softest...
I'd have to cast it again. It only lasts 6 seconds.
Oh, that's... Really? Oh, okay.
It only lasts 6 seconds.
Okay, never mind.
I get a fucking radar bing of everything around me, and I look around real quick, but if I see
it lasts around. I originally thought it only lasts when you use it immediately, but now it's... Okay, makes sense now. Yeah, you just see this trap door.
I'd try to hold up my ring. Hey, y'all closing up? Can y'all hear me? Yeah, probably not.
You are not close enough. You hear nothing. Nobody hears anything.
Yeah. I'll just try to gently open the door just to see if it's open.
Sure. You each time kind of grab this handle, sort of pull it, kind of jostles, but it's stuck in place. Seems like it might be locked, or...
Yeah, I'll just put some force behind it, just enough to actually figure out if it's just sort of stuck with age or if it actually is locked. Do I actually feel like it's hitting a mechanism on the far side?
It feels like as you're pulling on it, it does give ever so slightly, there's a softest rattle, but it doesn't seem like it's actually trying to move. It seems like there's probably some sort of mechanism, some sort of lock holding it in place, but just holding it with your hand, it's hard to tell really what's keeping it in place, how it opens.
Stand up, walk to the side of the altar where the symbol of Sune is.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a try to jostle it around?
Jostle it? How do you jostle on it?
I'm twisting it left and right, see if it's loose.
You actually grab onto this thing and you sort of carefully try to move it, and you feel that resistance as this symbol isn't sitting on the altar, it's actually a part of it. And it does sort of jostle in your hand.
Hey, Greg, you don't know what the hell you doing. I need to get back. It's, so I throw the carpet back over the trap door, and I just look at it. Oh, I hope that's what it was. Come back to you later. Hell. I'm gonna try to get myself out of the room, because it's probably taking me a while to get here. And I realize I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and also it's probably getting real close to me being late.
Oh, yeah. You're putting this thing back on as you're basically going back from behind the altar, pulling this rug over the side and picking yourself up, and you look up and there's someone sitting in the pew.
Howdy.
As you see, wearing these dark garbs and sort of his hair bright white, slicked back across pale skin, you see this somewhat calm and relatively... He looks like he's not quite angry to see you, not quite happy, just sort of has this sort of solemn look on his face. He's got these bright yellow eyes, and across one cheek going down to his mouth is this long and jagged scar. As this man just sort of sits and calmly watches you.
Howdy, are you... Howdy. I'm sorry, I was about to leave. Hello?
You are fine. Your secret is safe.
My secret? What?
As he gives you just like a sort of a slow, cutting, knowing grin.
Yeah. Alright then. Well, enjoy the church. I'm sorry, who are you?
My name is Saris. I come here from time to time to enjoy the privacy and respite from the rain. And also, from time to time, to speak my thoughts to the gods, or at least those who will listen.
Alright. So I just came here in town. I'm looking for church. You ain't part of the clergy.
No, I am but a passerby. Although I do hold myself too high a faith. But its name I shall not speak, for he praises me for such.
Right. I don't mean to interrupt your prayer time. I'll be humble. I'll just slowly walk down from the altar through the pews, trying to give him somewhat of a wide berth, but not being too weird about it, walking past him. But, yeah, as I start to get towards the door, look back over my shoulder, see if he's still watching me or not.
Yep. He's sort of keeping his eye on you until you walk away, then he looks back to the head of the altar and actually gets up and starts walking his way to the front. And he puts his hand on top of that symbol of Sune and twists it. And you can hear thunk. As he walks around, he steps behind the altar, looks up at you, and smiles. May his eye watch over
that part, you could probably see the light just barely fading from my eyes as soon as he got up to start walking towards the altar. I'm taking a look.
Sure. That pulse shoots out from your eye. You feel that sensation connect again and again. Everything seems to be coated in desecration. This place seems like the only synced area. And as he goes down beneath the altar to pull up, sounds like the trapdoor, you can hear this soft humming grow louder. As it sounds almost like chanting of sorts, but it's not, to your strange discerning ear, it doesn't sound desecrated, like dark and foreboding. It sounds, in a strange way, consecrated. as he looks to you and smiles. May his eyes watch over you and hide your secret. And he sort of just seems to descend down, walking down a place you can't see, and then you just hear this thud sound, and then the symbol of Sune twists back to face you.
Hell, did you just see Greg? And looking at him, he didn't give off Alright.
Well, as far as you could tell, he seemed neither undead, nor fiendish, nor celestial. Didn't seem quite holy, quite unholy. The only thing that was really foreboding about him was just his sort of inhuman watching of you. Didn't seem like he even blinked when he stared at you.
Alright, well. Maybe somebody knows a little bit more about this place, but I need to get there. Because I'm gonna run for not dead ass sprint, but I'm gonna hustle it through town.
Yeah, through the rain. As you make your way back to the inn, as we'll end with Luna and Javen hanging out back at the Mangy Hound. What exactly are you up to during this time while Samantha is carousing, Persephone's out digging in the dirt or something, and Gregory's just doing something at church? That's what Gregory does. Church stuff all the time. What are you up to, Luna?
After a while, after everyone left, I came down to kind of talk to the barkeep. Excuse me, Mr. I don't know your name.
Oh, the name's Dutch. Dutch Ryman. You're part of that group, eh? Where did your friends go? They all ran out the moment they got in here.
Doing a little bit of sightseeing, I guess. I don't really know. I'm not their keeper.
Sightseeing in Gerronswell. Kind of a sorry lot, if you ask me.
We're on a little bit of official business from Crossway, which is we're not sure what to expect from this place, I guess. Just looking around.
Right.
So I did have some questions for you, because I heard from the guard that showed us here that this place is haunted.
Aye. It's been sort of a haunt since as long as I've lived here. It's, don't remember the story. Something about a boy falling in a well, and from there, well, perhaps the Raven Queen herself didn't quite take kindly to his untimely passing. Probably led to some sort of foulness haunting this place. Sometimes it's some rattling doors, sometimes... Oh, hold on. As he reaches out and takes a cup and pulls it back. Yep, sometimes things move on their own. A couple of times it's gotten a little hairy here, mostly at night. You'll notice the guards aren't quite too keen on letting people wander around. It's a bit too harrowing. You know, it was an incident where there was some fire that came out of nowhere. Some sort of abyssal flame. Almost burned up the doctor's shop.
Oh no, that sounds terrible.
Bless you.
Professor. So where? I mean, I don't really, so I can avoid those places. Where does it seem the haunting seem to be? I guess the strongest.
It sort of depends. I mean, the closer you are to the center of town, the more people there are, the more things are going to be affected. I would say, I'd imagine the closest you get to that little well, the darker things seem to be.
I see. I should really go try and find some of my friends. We're supposed to be meeting with the doctor soon. I don't want them to miss our meeting. Come along, Javen.
Oh yeah, alright. Hey, can I get another bottle?
You want another one? Did you finish the last one?
I finished the other one. I want one for the road.
Definitely a dragon. I'll give you that one. No, I'll give you another one. 5 gold pieces, as he hands over another. This time he doesn't open the bottle. He keeps it sort of shut for you.
Thank you kindly.
Oh, Samantha, where did you go pick up the others? Do you want to come?
Well, it is truly unfortunate that they don't appreciate your wares here, but I will have to take a look, see if there might be something that I could get from you that I might need. You'll have to excuse me, though. My friends do need me.
I'll stop by the hooked hand. Oh, sorry. I'll stop by the hooked hand anytime you want. Although I will not do now, I'm going to sleep soon after this. It is getting very dark.
Is his mug empty by the end of
I
this?
think it's been empty for a while. He's been sipping at it, but then as you've been talking to him, keeping your eye on it, it seems like it's actually, there's nothing been in it. Like he drank the whole thing empty and kept just politely putting his mouth to it.
As Samantha's just gonna kind of get up and just uncork her rum runner's choice and just pour about a mouthful and a half into his mug
Okay.
for the conversation before just joining up with Luna and Javen.
So looks it over, gives it a stout little nod, and looks up to you with something of a grin now. He pulls away the last puff of his cigar before just dipping it down into his empty mug. Or I guess almost his empty mug. He tops it down next to it. Much appreciated. He puts it to his lips and drinks the whole thing at once before just sort of blinking back some of the harshness of it, but then smiles.
Give him a
That I can
polite
appreciate.
a polite wave and smile as I leave. This is a very interesting town, Luna.
You gave us the reminder and everything.
You lose, I win! Woo!
You guys make your way back to the door, and it seems like all of you are trying to keep good time. I'd say by the time you guys start to gather your things, prepare to step out, Persephone and Quill would have made their way back just shortly after, and Greg probably taking the longest, having taken a greater detour through town and lingering a bit longer than planned. Eventually, about an hour comes until you're standing outside of the Mangy Hound when you see a familiar face approach you. The guard who ushered you in here for the first place, Dustin, as he sees you guys standing, actually waves you over quite excitedly. Oh, hello there! Yes, the doctor is actually ready to see you. If you wish, I can lead you there.
That's wonderful.
That'd be great, Dustin.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. This town is confusing. Which way is it again?
Oh, it's just over here to the east.
Oh.
It's only about 20 minutes away.
Oh, good. It's very condensed here.
Yes, it certainly is.
We did not talk about how we gonna handle this.
So we're walking up, put my ring up as I'm joining these conversations. Obviously, we're talking through the rings, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Politely. We will
Well.
handle it politely.
All we found was a bit of scraps in the garden.
We'll just wait to see how you react to me and then
Maybe you
adapt
should,
accordingly.
Maybe you should stand in the back, Luna, like behind Quill.
But what are we gonna ask? I mean, we're asking him about
We're asking
medicine
him
for
about the medicine for the dwarves in the mines, aren't we?
Should Luna not be here?
I mean, to be completely frank, it is us. What are we actually afraid of? One man who survived a very interesting situation, to be sure, but he's nothing compared to what? The centaur with a gigantic hammer? With Gregory, Quill, myself, Luna, your own powers, Persephone able to call on the powers of nature, we have nothing to fear from this one man. I say, if we want to get answers, we might as well go to the most obvious source. There's no reason to beat around the bush on this one, unless... Well, she just kind of turns and looks at Luna, doing her best to try to... Even though she's terrible at it, doing her best trying to read your emotions and see if your normal, confident panache is there, or if she sees fear and doubt.
So the plan is to just... What, kidnap?
What? No.
No.
We came here for a reason, but seeing if he recognizes her, then, well,
Then the troll's out of the cave.
I mean,
Exactly.
we open the door, and he might go, You the one that tried to kill me, gods. What do we...
I don't think so. He was very calm about it. I don't think he'd want to draw attention to the situation.
I mean, absolute worst case, I can kill him faster than he can react, so it's fine!
No, we're not creating a scene.
We're not going to kill a doctor
I mean, we've already
in
done it
his
once.
village. But you've killed a doctor before.
I mean, I've killed plenty of people before, but the point is, he's already sort of died once. If he's evil, he can die again. It's not really the end of the world. If I had to choose between him and Luna, I'm definitely taking Luna.
That's fair. The problem becomes what happens if the town perceives us as killing a doctor and not killing an evil man.
I'd really not want to get arrested for a group of people walking into town and murdering the one doctor of the town. I understand that he's probably an evil son of a bitch, but I don't think the other people in town see him that way.
What did you learn about him, Samantha?
He's very, very old, apparently. He's been around here for about 60 years, but even to the people of the town, he hasn't seemed to really aged a day. He lost everything in some strange, unknown black fire, she says, almost just sort of pointing at Luna in a way, without actually physically pointing at her, Jesus. And he is the only doctor. And
Does he still have children?
No, apparently they were, according to him, consumed in the fire. I don't know if he used that as a sort of cover story or what the situation actually was, but...
Well, we will put on our pleasantries. If he discovers who Luna is, we will deal with it. If he does not, hopefully we can find a way for Luna to gain some closure. There are still the dwarves in the mines that need aid.
Right, and that's the story that we'll stick to until we can delve into this further.
What is your concern, Gregory?
I mean, Luna's hair's a different color, but I don't feel like that's gonna go real well.
Honestly, I don't think he recognizes me. It creates a reaction, it gets questions. He didn't seem really angry when I found the bodies, or even when I was attacking him.
It seems like the easiest path to get the answers we're looking for. Plus, those people, like Quill said, still do need help.
For one, we can move past this as, quote-unquote family, and we get the medicine and we leave, or he reveals his true nature and we remove a plague from this land.
I just want to make it clear that we going in there with the full expectation that we gonna be killing this.
That's not what I'm going in with. We'll give him his chance to confess, to be prosecuted. If he raises arms against us, though, you better believe I will defend each and every one of you.
How do we can't arrest? What? Arrest him for what?
No, if he fights us first, we will have to fight back. But we shouldn't be the ones to strike.
I can take a beating.
Yeah, but what then? We don't have any authority here. We strangers. We just walked into town. We come up and beat up the doctor and say we arrest him for what?
Gregory, that's why we don't attack him. If he attacks us first, then yes, we will defend ourselves.
So, if he attacks us, we kidnap him.
Why are we
If he attacks us, we knock him unconscious.
Why do you keep saying kidnap?
Right.
Because we gonna beat him up and then we gonna tie him up in his own house. We can't fucking walk him out in the middle of town. We gonna get arrested ourselves for trying to kidnap the doctor. Because that's what we doing.
he could very well just be a monster, and what do we do to monsters, apparently?
I mean, you could.
So we think he's not a what? We think he's gonna transform into something.
He's 60 plus years old and looks like he's 20.
And he's
He's
not an elf.
And a
probably
human.
he's
Doesn't
got
make any
elven
sense.
blood then.
He's,
Possible, but he didn't. He looked completely human. There was no
Yeah.
this that's
yeah.
like pull on
wasn't
Persephone's
pointy.
ears.
He wasn't pointy.
Well, I have known perhaps some people have deformed themselves to
yeah.
blend in.
I mean, we have no other leads as to what it is that actually took place that day so many years ago. Did you find anything with the church? This whole place stinks of some sort of extra planner problems.
Yeah, I saw a weird fella in a shrine that seemed to be the only holy thing in town, which I would love to look into, but it seems like we rush into the end of this thing right off the get-go of going either killing or kidnapping.
So there was
Which
a priest.
I'm pretty sure he's evil. Look, I understand he's probably evil. Doesn't sound like he's doing great, but I don't know if that'll matter at this point in time.
We're just going to talk to him.
Yeah.
Which I think would be great if he didn't recognize the person that tried to.
So
I mean,
then
he doesn't have any proof.
that is true.
I don't think it matters. All he'd have to go is go help gods. They trying to kill me, and he's the only doctor in the town.
Then we killed the whole town.
No, what?
I'd rather like to avoid that situation. Right there is what I'm talking about. Is the help gods. Now we slaughtering innocent people. I don't feel good about that. They already live a pretty shit life.
I think you need to take a deep breath. You're freaking out.
I am, because it doesn't feel like we got a plan besides we're going to kill and kidnap this
you know
man.
what,
Hey,
I'm
it's
going to
fine. I'm fine.
Are you okay, sir?
I'm just the cold's getting to me. I don't know. I'm sorry.
He's afraid of ghosts.
It's real spooky here. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You kind of came to the wrong town for that, my friend. We're almost
Bandits
there.
or a
yes.
troll, he's perfectly fine, but you start floating through walls and he turns into a kitten.
Seed evil runs deep. A lot of things. Undeath. Deep. But still, I'll follow y'all. I do not like this idea, though.
Do you
I
want-
will
That's
not
okay,
attack.
Gregory.
I will defend, but not attack.
I mean, what do you want? Do you want Luna to just not come along? We just try to gather information through some sort of weird probing questions, like, oh, where were you 7 years ago?
I mean, if we could just take a measure of the man at the least first.
That's the plan that I'm going with.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were doing.
Yes.
Is to speak to the man, figure out what he is, and then after the fact, we've been in town for 2 hours.
You know what, Mr. Guard? I'm actually feeling really tired. I'm gonna go back to the inn. Good luck, guys. They push Gregory forward and go back to the inn.
What?
Oh, good night, Jessica.
Do you need someone to escort you back?
No,
I'm fine.
She's a big woman.
Are
I
you
mean, she's
sure?
yes, she's fine.
As he looks over you, Quill, and over at Gregory, both of you looks like looking over the things you have on you. Well,
Trust me, I can protect myself far better than they can protect me.
She knows how to take care of things, Dustin.
I will hold you to that, but do be careful.
I'll go back with you too, Luna. I don't
No,
really
please
know
don't.
nothing about dogs. Alright.
Please don't.
I don't know nothing about no doctors. Okay. As
Sorry,
I
Doug.
don't
Sorry,
go back
Doug.
to the inn,
Nice.
but I'm going to the well.
Okay. As you make your way actually deeper into town, sort of taking your way back to the inn, and the moment the group's sort of out of sight where the torchlights are starting to dim, and with your amazing dark vision, you can tell their vision's now off for you. You just start the other way. heading off deeper into the town as the party eventually reaches the actual doors of this great clock tower laboratory. As the guard sort of knocks on the door and sort of waits for a moment. Oh, my apologies. As he actually opens the door and steps aside. This is his entry room, if you would like. I'm sure he'll join you shortly. He said he was expecting to have company, but he often keeps himself busy within. Please.
Thank you.
Thanks for the guidance.
Thank you.
Always happy to help some travelers out. Just, I'll be out here, keeping watch.
You're a good man.
Thank you. As you guys step inside, and again, similar to before when you entered the Mangy Hound, although now in a different state, there's that warmth that washes over you as immediately by the door is this large and roaring fireplace. And all around you, you walk into something that, although maybe it needs a bit more upkeeping, it's definitely this room of luxury. You're like ushered through this doorway and into this room of surprising grandeur. Like, you have shelves pressed against, like, stone and wooden walls. Like, all of them filled with, like, scrolls and thick tomes. You have, like, hard stone floors under your feet, like, that are, again, remarkably clean. Maybe a little more dusting would help. Before they seem to descend down into these, like, deep red and burgundy planks deeper into the building. It looks like you're entering into probably one of the larger rooms where the ceilings are about 15 feet tall, maybe taller above your heads. Where it looks like there's like this comfortable lounge before you, this great, beautiful, like, stretch of velvet and silk laid out across this fireplace, where it looks like a low flame has been sort of stoked into a building heat. And the firelight seems to illuminate the room, but not much else, rather. It seems like the light seems to extend out to the other room and sort of catch on the gleaming edge of glass bottles and beakers and things as you enter into something of a rather luxurious looking building. Although at night, so there's no sunlight pouring in, just candle lights and the fireplace. And looking around, it seems pretty nice. The walls are lined with, like, paintings of various people, some of them in nice clothing, assuming possibly nobles. You can see two of them actually seem to be maps, these really old but highly detailed landscapes. One looking up like of the north, like of Drakova, and then one southern looking like Mobia. Definitely seems like it's dotted with fewer settlements than your normal maps are, as it seems like it's probably pretty old. You see a portrait of a tall and handsome-looking man, somewhat old and torn. Looks like the edges have been frayed by something dark, but you can sort of make out the shapes of it within, still hung on the wall quite proudly. This handsome-looking man with pale skin and long black hair, and surrounding him are, like, all sorts of various-looking people. You see, like, short sizes, like teenagers and children. It seems like they all sat together to have this portrait painted of them. Let's see. Ooh. One of them being, like, this pedestal. The moment you walk in, you almost bump into it. I'd say Quill. As you're looking down, it's this glass container, and inside, sort of resting on all of its feet, about ready to jump, is it looks like a spider. But it's sort of been petrified, kept in place, and covered in these tiny little steel pins across its joints. And besides that, just a few things sort of lined along the walls, along cabinets and things. Some sort of beautiful little trinkets. Like a golden medallion that's sort of been shaped into the face of a roaring lion. This, like, really ornate-looking dagger. It looks like the actual blade itself is probably made of some dark steel, but it's surrounded and lined with silver and copper. And then between them is this small little locked box that has this ornate little symbol on it, it looks like a butterfly's wings spread across it. But yeah, it's this really beautiful looking room filled with all sorts of things from, it looks like, possibly across the world, or maybe just from across time.
Anything stand out to me as being iconic of something?
Roll me a straight up int check. The only thing that really stands out are probably the maps. You can look across the wall. There's one clearly of Mobia, one of Drakova, but just given it seems like the aging of the actual paper itself and the high detail to the mountains and landscapes, it looks like they're pretty old. Like, these are probably, like, maybe one of the first maps made by Mobians before they were made in quite high distribution and spread out to seemingly every adventurer who walks this land. This thing seems a lot more detailed. Like, you could probably find, like, the small divots and cracks and crevices that people would have found along these mountains. Probably pretty valuable.
Do I see anything from, like, of Tyrian descent?
off the top of your head looking around, not particularly. A lot of it definitely seems Mobian, although maybe the dagger that you see sort of sitting in that pedestal and the amulet might be of an old Mobian, definitely influenced by Elven and Dwarven culture, but definitely seems like a big sort of focus on the Mobian culture itself.
I'll go and look at the dagger and amulet.
Sure.
Closely.
Yeah, you're just looking them over, sort of. They're surrounded by glass, so you're trying to be careful, not trying to get too close, not trying to scratch or bump or break anything. You're looking at it. They seem quite beautiful. The amulet itself gleams in your eye. It's like untouched gold, molded in the shape of a roaring lion, and then next to it is this dagger that, again, has this like strange, almost spiral sort of formation of golden and copper like strips wrapped around the handle and going up the blade, and the blade itself seems to be this dark steel. Looks like it's a. I mean, if you had to put these things on a market, they'd probably sell quite a bit.
Fine tastes.
He's certainly doing well for himself.
I thought didn't you say there was a fire here?
There was.
Yes. To kind of like look up towards like the ceiling and like at the actual structure. Does there look like any obvious signs of repair or damage?
Sure. Give me an investigation check.
I mean, he even has a petrified dragon skull here in his foyer.
Yep, you're looking up. It looks strangely pristine going up along the walls to the ceiling, although with your discerning eye, Samantha, you do notice some marrings around the corners where it looks like the ceiling would arch. There are some spots, like, it almost looks like dust at first, but you can tell it looks like places where soot and heat have gathered and sort of warped the wood and left it somewhat permanently scorched. Maybe whoever renovated this place didn't quite touch up all the corners. You can tell it definitely looks like this place has been damaged at one point, but someone, either with a lot of skill or just a careful hand, has definitely brought it to a better state than it once was.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to get this medicine that those dwarves need. And we can cross that off of our list of things to do.
Yeah.
Maybe we can ask him about the fire.
We supposed to keep wandering through his house, or you think he gonna show?
No, he'll be
You
here.
hear this quiet tapping sound, rhythmic and slow. The sound of hard soles moving across wooden floors as a small and flickering light strides towards you from within the darkness. And as it approaches, this little light reveals like more and more of its holder that, with a painting for reference, is quite fitting. A man, pale skin, shoulder-length raven hair parted down the middle, dressed in this fine dark clothing. And just before the firelight reaches his face, firelight of the room you're in, you catch the glimmer of his eyes, which are remarkably bright and almost like amber colored. For a moment, they almost seem red in this dim light. He's a handsome man, and he looks to you all with a knowing smile upon his face.
There you are. A pleasure to meet you. I am Dr. Eric Gelner. It seems you have all come quite a long way.
That we have. Of course, coming here on important business. There is a crisis in Crossway. I'm sure you're aware.
I am very much aware. You have all been in the rain for some time, it looks. Come, let's find comfort. As he motions you over towards this deeper part of, it looks like a laboratory, where it moves away from this sort of comfortable foyer of treasures and artifacts and moves to a bit more of a messy and cluttered area. You can see a desk, several of them actually, covered in, looks like scrolls and bottles of different things. It looks like this is definitely a workshop. You can see like a strip, like a scroll hanging down with like, it looks like some strange multi-armed and limbed figure until you look at it and realize, oh, it's like a diagram of a human body. It's like someone who has been studying quite some time.
as he's walking you guys down this relatively long-looking hallway deeper into this area. He sort of stops, and as he's looking over the group with a smile, his eyes stop and linger on you, Persephone.
Just a moment. I recognize. Yes. Ryath root. You smell of Ryath root. You're a herbalist, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. I hope you do make medicine. It is quite a taxing ordeal.
Yes, it is, especially when you're trying to acquire Ryath root and other reagents that have potent healing properties.
I would imagine so. We do not find such things in these parts. Despite the rain we get, plant life, it seldom grows here. I would like to see your work sometime. Perhaps you could aid me with mine. But come.
As he leads you into this sort of now open area where it looks like a long table stretched across with many comfortable-looking chairs. It looks like this may have been a place where people held dinner or at least meetings, but now there are some things sort of cluttered here and there, scrolls and some unfinished scripts he's been writing as he carefully picks them up one by one and offers you all a seat. About a dozen or so chairs, but sort of keeps you guys close together as he takes up the other side.
Thank you.
My apologies for keeping you waiting until such a late hour, but I needed some time for recuperation. I often lose myself in my work for days, and as you see, it leaves me quite famished. But here we are. You speak of Crossway? The adamantine poisoning, I'm certain.
Yes.
Indeed.
Understandably so. Must be wondering where that cure is for those ailing folk. Unfortunately, it is still in process. The cure I have created is quite particular, you see. We do not grow much plant life in this town, and thus we must find different resources for our curatives. And so far, I can only make so much.
As he steps away from just one moment. And he comes to this sort of shelf of small different colored bottles, and he comes back with one, looks like a small, like almost like a little milk jug of sorts, but you realize it's like this little ceramic container that's bright red in color. He sits it down the table for you.
What I have been working on for quite some time. Do you all know of adamantine properties?
It is a precious metal.
Precious
hard.
indeed. Hard and hardy as the creatures who mine them. I do not know much of alloys nor the ways of smithing, but I know adamantine. It is a stubborn metal, not to be mined naturally, but the dwarves and the gnomes, they've always found their way. When broken into pieces, when harvested from their ores, or when burned and smelted into shapes, a stubborn metal releases residue, fine dust in pieces. Those pieces may lodge themselves into the deepest and tiniest parts of the body, and they are just as stubborn to remove as they are to mold. However, as it weakens the blood of those who ingest it, and any sort of smith or miner dealing with the metal, as a dwarf to be expected would, one must find another way to help. The good people of Garen's Well have been aiding me in creating this cure. I've called it the Serra Serum. It is created through the extraction, the purification, and thus the amplification of the body's humor. It uses blood. However, as you imagine, it's quite a difficult reagent to acquire. And alas, within these last 2 months, I can only acquire so much at a time. Especially with the recent hauntings that have been suffering this town. They've been growing noticeably worse. I'm certain you have noticed them in your short time being here.
Yes.
I mean, it's nothing more than a door opening.
Only in the later evening. But when the moon is high and the rain has stopped, a new sound is said to fill this town. A dreadful bailing, they say. The sound of some horrible beasts. Spirits, perhaps from another world. Perhaps those have always been here. Manifesting in the darkest corners of this place. Though I am researching during the day, it is during the night I do most of my gathering. And those who would be so kind as to donate some of their blood to this cause. But then they find themselves consumed by fear. And perhaps there are monsters out in the dark waiting for them. I find such things hard to believe myself, but it has had a noticeable effect on this town. Another month, I assure you, and I will have enough to hopefully supplant all those who have ingested this adamantine. But it will take some time.
And that is because your donations are so infrequent.
Indeed.
Due to this, it sounds recent incursion of this strange force around, midnight?
Midnight, the hour of the wolf, typically, yes.
If that amplifier of fear were to be removed, do you think the people of this town would be more able to donate to your cure faster, so we could get this moving along quicker? We do not have a month, neither do the dwarves in Crossway.
Undoubtedly so. It has definitely placed a hinder on their participation. Although, strange such superstitions would push them to the edges of their homes. Monsters do not reside in this town, I'm sure. Only men.
I have found they can be one and the same. Do you know where the mayor is?
Mayor Lynch? Of course, he resides deep within the Lynch home. Hard to miss. Further on the northern part of town. You would be remiss to find him available at such an hour. The only person he'd ever pay a visit at the time would be myself.
I will see about getting the Valiant Vanguard a contract in regards to this extra haunting, and see if we can't remove it.
Valiant Vanguard. That is quite a name. I dare may ask, who? Hold on.
Samantha Deus, as I extend a hand across the dining table.
As he reaches out and gently takes yours, it's very soft and delicate grasp. It sort of holds your hand and gently waves it up and down. And what of the rest of you?
Quildor.
Persephone, I'm sorry. May I? And I point to the bottle that he put down, gesturing to see if he'd let me examine it.
Of course, as he actually takes it and helps motion it towards you. Do be careful, though. They are quite a challenge to fill.
Javen. Just Javen. Gregor. Sort of look down at my feet. Try to just avoid his gaze.
This place is quite unsettling for even... She kind of looks down the length of the table, the most stalwart members of our group. My sister is quite attuned to things of this nature, so she is looking into them at the moment, but she is also a part of our group. Yes.
I see. She's wandering around Garen'swell by herself.
I believe some guard is escorting her as well, but she is quite capable.
I suppose I cannot doubt that for certain. But if she's attuned to such things, who knows what she may see? I knew of
Hopefully
someone
an
who had
end.
such a similar condition. Always seemed to have an eye for such things. To her, they were quite terrible.
My sister sees them as, well, tragic more than terrible. And quite a brave woman.
A woman of strength.
Yes, indeed. Now, is there anything else you can tell us about this sort of disturbance?
Only from what I've heard. Those who have actually encountered these spirits claim them to be monsters with foul fangs that fill the mouth and 4 claws on which they run. Gods have supposedly tried to apprehend them, bring an end to their carnage, but by the time they reach them, they retreat into the darkness, and they can never be found. I suppose one could closely relate them to the sound of a wolf or a hound.
Have they had any victims? Have people been wounded or killed?
Killed, no. Wounded, few. Looks like an animal attack. It's hard to believe such a thing would be a spirit, but... well, they still spill blood, and they come seeking my aid amidst the night.
That is strange. No accounts of them saying anything or anything of the like, just monstrous noises and, I presume, howls.
A baleful howl is all they do, it seems.
I wonder.
I would ask you all. You are interested in expediting this process, the creation of the Serum. Would you consider donating?
Just look nervously over to Samantha.
Persephone's
We'll need all of our strength to contest whatever it is that is ailing this town. It seems that, I presume, you also donate towards this cause, and you look quite famished yourself, though I must say also quite handsome. But I think we'll need to refuse, keep our humours inside of ourselves, lest we be too weak to deal with these baleful howls.
It's not a decision I would force any of you to be in. I know some people are quite adverse to needles, especially. As he's looking over to the man whose eyes are sort of shifting all around, who seems like he's just uncomfortable to be here.
This is a remarkable place you have, honestly. It is quite unique in comparison to, if you'll forgive me for saying, that mangy place that we were in not a few hours ago. You seem quite well travelled from the things I have seen in your entryway, your foyer.
Truth be told, Samantha, I am not quite a traveled man. I've been to here and back again, but spent most of my time here in Garen's Well. These that you find here, these strange oddities, these pieces and puzzles from across the land, are not mine gathered myself. They are gifts. Many travelers have come here and sought aid, and I would always happy to help them. I do not often charge gold to those who lack it, but many of those who feel they still owe a debt return and offer a piece, part of themselves that perhaps they wish to stay here in show of gratitude.
It's quite a number of gifts to acquire over well, I can only presume so many years. Were most of this an inheritance of sorts? Was your a father or something a predecessor to you? Surely you could not have acquired all of this in, what, 15 years at the most?
15. I appear much older than I look, Samantha, although I do appreciate the compliment immensely. It is a part of my work, after all. I do not simply help the needy, I study. And that which I study is the preservation of life, the ensuring of as much vitality as one needs to do good in the world. But most of this building, it wasn't mine at first. It belonged to the Lynch family. But after many years of service and goodwill, they offered it my way. It seems I've earned their favor with all of my doings.
I must say, it is an interesting and perhaps invaluable thing to be so youthful after such a long time. Then a girl such as myself would of course pay quite a bit of gold for such a thing. Is that something you might be interested in? This sort of youthful, tincture, potion of yours?
Potion, no. It is more of an ongoing experiment. It takes
Really?
study. Careful study. Although I do not dare divulge the details. I would be remiss if one were to try and replicate such a thing. The consequences would be quite dire.
And you've never made a mistake in these experiments?
Of
No
course,
consequences?
one can only learn from making mistakes, from bearing burden. But I have lived with them. That is all.
You look to live well with them.
It is the strength of preservation. That is what makes a scientist, Gwildor. Makes a physician. Persistent.
That is true, I have heard that. Same thing with those who study the arcane arts. Well, hopefully your experiment comes to a successful conclusion. The interest of looking as beautiful as I do forever is, well, quite tantalizing.
I do believe I'm on the verge of a breakthrough. A bit more research, a few more years. We shall see what I come. I must ask, is there anything else you require of Eric Gelner? The night is growing
quite
long,
late.
and there is some work to be done.
You are right. It is quite late. Only one question, really. I heard that there was, quite an unfortunate incident in this place not too long ago. Waiting around for you to be available, I had to make do with some conversation. I heard that there was a terrible fire in this town. It seemed as though your place had escaped the worst of it, till I actually happened to look up into a particular corner. But your repairs have gone quite nicely. What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
As you can just see, as you mention this fire, this soft smile of his immediately just falls.
There are many things haunting this town, Samantha. Some of them turn their heads to more dire needs, more catastrophic results. A terrible flame of black abyssal magic took hold of this place, took hold of my garden, took hold of my clock tower. It almost consumed this laboratory, though the foundation itself is quite strong. But it is not simply the damage that I regret. It was my negligence. I spent all day, all night studying, researching, in the depths of my home. I did not realize the children were out, caught in the fire. It burned them, all of them to nothing. I lost someone very precious that day.
My
It's
utmost
never easy losing someone.
No. My utmost condolences for your loss, Dr. Gelner. I'm sorry. My curiosity simply got the better of me.
Stephanie's gonna reach out a sympathetic hand and just gently touch his arm. Yes, we don't have to go into further detail, but as she does, I'm going to look into his heart. I can find the button.
Ooh.
The heart
Click
button.
the button. The heart
Stick your
button.
head into his heart.
Just pressing random buttons on his arm. Where's the fucking heart button?
Yep.
Okay.
You feel no heartbeat.
Does he make that charisma save?
Remember that again. What I write?
If target fails a
Ooh.
charisma save against my spell DC,
If he is
I
a
get to
vampire,
negative
he just
enlightenment.
fucking fails.
Yeah.
Mm.
As you put your hand upon his, and you sort of reach out to his heart, and you just immediately when you touch him, you feel this sense of. He looks somewhat downtrodden, Persephone. But you feel this immense well of just sadness and grief and loss, and it almost takes you with it, as it's like your eyes almost like begin to well up with tears. It feels like you're looking at a man who is hiding an immense amount of pain.
Bitch,
And
please,
as you're-
she's friends with Pelagius or whatever.
But
She's
as you're
used to
holding,
that.
you feel him. He just feels like a sad man. You don't really discern anything else. You're trying to feel out his heart, where it lies, what its direction's in, but there's nothing. It just feels. The only thing you can tell is that sadness, is that feeling. And he just. His hand, although somewhat cold in this candlelit room, he just feels like a very sad man.
Persephone slowly takes her hand away, almost shaking just a little bit, and goes back to examining his solution.
Again, I'm truly sorry. I cannot help before we leave, as Samantha sort of just seems to start to stand up away from the table. Like I said, my sister is quite in touch with things related to undeath, and myself, well, I'm quite studied when it comes to things of a fiendish nature. Was that abyssal flame, the source of it, was that quenched? Was it solved? I had never heard of such an event taking place in Garenswell before today, and I would see that demon vanquished.
By the time I reached the carnage, the flames were already burning, spreading across this place. The guards had finally arrived by the time the bodies were burning away into ash. They quenched away in water. It took some time. The rain fell. It took many hours before those flames finally faded.
But I presume then the source was never found. Well, it is quite late, like you said. I don't think we need trouble you for anything else, as I look down at the rest of the party.
Yeah, I've got a question though for you, real quick. As Javen stands up, bottle in one hand. That there skull over there. What color was this guy? He sort of stumbles across the room over a large skull on the table on the far side.
I don't recall correctly, but I believe they said it was green.
Yeah. Think he wants those. He turns around, his tail just whips across a couple desks as things just scatter across the...
Shaven!
Oh, I'm sorry. It's alright. As Gregory's eyes, as soon as he sees Eric Gilner turn to that, eyes start to shine.
That's cheating.
Just to get a glimpse.
Your eyes.
That's called clever.
I got me and fucking Nick in the same idea. That's cheating.
As your eyes flash, Gregory, finally able to look up at the sky and just trying to look for something. Again, your eyes open, and last time you did this, you were in a church, Greg. You were surrounded by sort of this faint consecration, but now the desecration is louder. That baleful howl seems to rumble in your ears. It seems to it feels like the room is like filling up what looks like with smoke or fog or something. And it's just ever present. This instead here, it's oversaturated. Your eyes, your tongue, your ears, everything is just picking up on this sense of just, it's like feels like you're in a grave right now. It's dirty, it's nasty, it's almost hard to breathe here. And you look up at Eric Gellner and he's just surrounded by it.
I just feel the taint of undeath about him.
Just desecration.
As I just try to cover my eyes as best I can.
Come on, Javen.
Just turn my head away to hopefully the light fades in time as Javen's just fucking make a fool of himself. But as soon as Javen sees the light fade from Gregory on the far side of the table, he's like, oh, I'm awful sorry. We should probably,
Are you certain? You and the dragon seem quite ill. I can examine you, sure that you are healthy as you can be. After all, as your friend said, you will need all your strength to face this superstition.
Pretty ill? I'm as good as they can be.
Yes, he's just a... As I just kind of like reach up and just punch him in the shoulder. Like I said, we'll get out of your hair and... Come on, Gregory, let's just go. We'll speak with the mayor about dealing with this baleful howling and see that we can get this show on the road when it comes to this cure-all. Dr. Gellner, you have been an absolute pleasure. Again, sorry for bringing up such painful memories. It sounds like a truly tragic day.
Quite all right. It is painful to reminisce on darker times in life, but it is those pain, those atrocities. It's how we move forward. We burn away into ash and we are reborn from them. Assistant. As he looks over to you, Persephone, and sort of ushers the bottle. If you would do return this in time, you may examine it for longer. Perhaps your expertise may add something to it that, well, I have not been able in quite some time.
Yes, I would love to do what I can to help.
As he steps
intent on leaving.
Steps
Gregory's
outside the table.
Fucking cold sweat just running down the side of Gregory's face. Looks like he just broke out in a fever, but he's just trying to back away from this guy, trying to make his way towards the, just trying to cloak himself in the shadows as much as he can, just sort of getting away from this guy's line of sight, slowly making his way towards the door.
Persephone's gonna follow right after Gregory.
Wrapped an arm around Javen and just dragging him along.
Look, I told him I was sorry. I didn't mean to, you know.
Thank you again, Dr. Gilner, for all of your help. If you ever need to talk about great loss, I'll be in town for a few days. I know what it is like to lose everything.
Perhaps it'll make a good conversation. I may take you up on that offer, Kruldo.
As that soft smile sort of returns back to his face. As Eric Gellner follows you guys back to the doorway, candle in hand, this time reaching up his fingers to pinch it and extinguish it. As he makes you way, basically heads you back to the doorway.
Please do careful.
As you guys leaving?
Yep.
Okay.
I just kick over a candle as we go and just light the place up.
Whoopsie! Oh, Gregory!
Oh, no! The fire! It's back!
Purge it with righteous
As
flame!
during all of this time, we have a person heading off on her own throughout this town, back in this quiet, rainy little hovel. As Luna, you're making your way back towards the center of town, where that infamous well resides. You're walking the
Luna,
street.
you hear behind you.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, it's a horse, of course.
Just stab Nero with your sword. It's fine.
Right in the face.
He's not going to stop you. He'd be too confused.
Yeah.
As you're walking through these streets relatively alone. As, yeah, it seems like this time the hour's getting late. The guards, you can sort of see them on the sides of the buildings, so they're just keeping watch. But no one really pays you much attention. You're quite adept at slinking in the darkness, even with your new bright white attire.
Black cloak on.
I got your black cloak on. There you go. Your dark cloak hiding your features, keeping yourself a shadow among the others walking through this town. It's kind of weird, maybe just being back. You remember the rain, Luna. You remember the quiet nights, at least those that weren't disturbed by the strange hauntings, and you do see Garen's Well quite differently, Luna. Where a window pane might rattle, you look up and you'll see like a slight, like almost like a whiff of mist rolling across the edge, as it seems like a pair of hands are trying to open the window before they fade away. A door might suddenly throw itself open, and inside you'll see the face of a man staring out or into the building, and then you blink and he's gone, and the door just shuts itself again. You've always been able to see the spirits of Garen's Well, because in Garen's Well, the spirits are everywhere. And as you're making your way closer to the center, you see that little well sitting right in the middle of town. And as you're looking at it, it almost seems like with your eyes fixed on it, you remember this as a kid. This well, the closer you got to it, almost like you could sit next to it, and if you really wanted to ever converse with one of these spirits, it was at the well. You'd sit by its side, you'd listen in on it, and if you sometimes spoke to it, especially in the dead of night, something might speak back to you. What are you doing?
I'm gonna go and sit on the lip of the well. Just kind of close my eyes and try to, I guess, attune with the other side. So I'll just, just start talking to myself and be like, haven't been here in a long time. Is there anything recent happening? So I'll like talk into the well itself.
You're listening in, and this sound of rain pouring all around you. Your cloak sort of guarding you from its dank wetness, and you're just waiting to hear something. Just hearing the soft piddling and basically the sound of just water dripping and puddling in the depths of this well. Nothing really sounds to you here.
I look down into the well. Can I see the bottom?
Before, you could see quite far into this well when you were a kid. Your eyes sort of just naturally adjusted to darkness, and you could see quite far, but it was quite deep, especially for a well in this town. It's possibly why that kid was never rescued. But now you look down, you feel that cold magic emanating from that trinket of yours you've gathered from the other side. And now, looking down inside, you don't see shadows, you just see the bottom of the well. You see piles of stone now pooling up with water, and you see this rippling reflection. And give me a perception check. Ooh. You look down into the well, and with your astute vision, Luna, you make out the shape, sort of like the reflection of the sky far out of the well and above you. You see parted clouds and this bright, round, silver moon reflecting back in the well. And then you look up, and you just see clouds. blanket of clouds above you.
How wide is the well?
About 5 foot. It's about 5 foot diameter. It's not particularly large, but it is especially deep, and it's not really in use anymore ever since the incident. It's just this sort of relic.
Is there anyone around? Anyone like looking towards my direction?
Nope, you're basically alone in this town. No one's really out walking the streets. Almost like they're afraid.
Gonna spin around on the lip and cast a bit of fly on myself and hop down.
Alright. Your grand black spectral wings come from your back. Or is it more subtle this time?
They'd probably be like really small wings. Kind of blend in with the cloak.
Sure. As your magic surrounds you and you sort of feel your feet lift off the ground and you slowly but surely lower down to the well. And again, you're sinking down to this pit of darkness. Deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until, even though you can see plainly, you can tell with your vision as things become maybe just a slight bit like more contrasted that you are in basically pitch darkness. And yet you look down and inside you see that puddle and you can see that sky, that moon, as you get deeper and deeper closer to the water. See me go down maybe like possibly like 60 feet or so, maybe a little deeper. Actually, like 100 feet. 100 feet, that's it.
I'm gonna float above the puddle for a bit and just decide to myself, just knowing I'm gonna hate this feeling as I will just land.
Alright. You land and you feel your boots crash just the short distance on top of the water, and they go down to hit the bottom, and you go down to hit the bottom, and you go down to hit the bottom, and your whole body is consumed in this wash of water, and you find yourself not on the bottom of the well. You're surrounded by this lip of stone with a big crack in its side. It seems like it looks like water should have been in here, but it's spilling away, almost constantly flowing. And next to you is this large, not a well, but like a fountain. And then you look around and you realize this is not the well. There's no rain. You're not in Garen's well anymore. It's a place you've been passingly from time to time. Not quite in this state. Something of your passing state as a child. Every once in a while your eyes would sort of adjust to this place you always seem to have a connection to. This strange, dark world where spirits seem to walk the streets almost freely. As you find yourselves pulling yourself out of this fountain in the middle of what you recognize to be Gloomrot. The really only true city or town or settlement that you've actually felt your feet touch the ground on in the Shadowfell.
Oh, I hope the others don't freak out with my disappearance. Okay. Still no people around.
You see mist, Luna, sort of obfuscating your vision off to the distance, and every once in a while that mist seems to shift, and you see familiar shapes as once before, even surrounding you in this fountain, this broken fountain, this mass of ethereal shape becoming somewhat human, with arms stuck to the side as it sort of swims through the air. Just as this place is alive, but not with life, it's with undeath, as this seems like this strange otherworldly town is not filled, but populated at least, by roaming spirit.
It's not really like mirrored from Garen's Well. It's like a completely different setup, like landscape.
Kinda. Like where should be the well, you're in a large fountain that looks like it's in disrepair. There was a building nearby, the sort of ramshackle little home, but now it's this tall, sharp, decrepit spire of a home. The landscape, I mean, the layout's somewhat the same, but the buildings just look different. It's like as if someone had taken the same ground and built new, more dire and sinister-looking things upon it.
I'm going to start walking around, see if I could kind of map out where the clock tower is in Garen's Well
Sure.
as compared to this place.
Yeah, you're sort of like reversing it. You've tried to do this before as a kid when you got lost in this place, but by the time you returned, things seemed to go back to normal. The moon was no longer out shining, and you were back in the place you belong. But this time, you know this isn't a passing thing. You're here. You're looking at your hands and your body. You're not this shimmering shadow. You're you. You're actually here in this place, walking with your feet on this ground. And so you sort of start to figure it out. Everything's in the same direction. You start making your way back through these broken and decrepit looking buildings. It literally looks like a ghost town. The buildings are somewhat in states of disrepair. The ceilings and roofs are sort of falling apart, although they look really sinister as if someone had just updated them with a strange, evil aesthetic. You do pass by people walking down the streets. You see what looks to be like these like silhouettes of people walking with no shadows behind them, as if they themselves were shadows. They walk with like nice coats behind them, tapering off into darkness, and they don't really seem to pay you much mind. Only a couple spirits seem to actually look your way. Like one of these silvery clouds of mist turns to your way and looks like part of its head until it changes shape until it looks to be a top hat before it puts it back down and resumes its sort of formless state. But keep making your way through this town. Eventually, you do find, well, you see a tall tower, but it doesn't look to be like the clock tower you're used to. It just seems to be a tall spire on this grand building of stone. And it's strange because it looks completely out of place for everything here. It looks like it should rest upon a great hill above all other things, but here it's sort of resting on the ground, almost in an indentation in the earth. It looks like a fortress of sorts, with these tall stone parapets condensed in the size of a block. It almost looks like a castle.
Is there an entrance?
Yeah, you go around the side where you expect to find the door of this place where you grew up, and you do see, it looks like these tall double doors with these apparently like very, very monstrous looking knockers on them. Looks like the mouths of lions open wide, holding on to these iron bars between them.
I'm gonna see if I can try and open it. They seem kind of big. I'm not that strong.
Yeah, you reach up to grab, and you go pull, and yeah, they're not really budging with your strength. They are quite heavy, and it looks like they've been sitting there for quite some time because they're not even wanting to budge well. Just the only creaking you hear is the sound of the wood just holding these things together, sort of groaning a bit. Might need someone with a bit more manpower.
Does it seem that there's any like holes in the doors or and like the walls of the tower itself?
The wood itself sort of creaked. It looked like you possibly like pull or break through the wood, although it would take some force, some magic on your side. But looking up and around, just looking for an entrance, of all the places here that are in states of disarray, the castle itself seems somewhat penetrable. You do see some small arrow slits, but you don't think you could fit through one. After all, it is.
But can I see through it?
Can you see through it? Sure, if you want to pull yourself up to look inside, you can.
Is it like a window or is it just like a hole?
They're like arrow slits. They're like these like tall rectangular slits that where someone could has enough room to maybe like put their hands and body to sort of look through, but to squeeze through it.
Oh, that's just enough. As I can look through it, as my body will kind of turn into like this shadowy form, as I will poof inside using Duskwalk.
Hey!
Get poofed.
Drawing upon some of the shadow magic in you and around you, you change your shape to become this thin, like almost like a blob of shadow as you sort of slip your way into the arrow slit, using your magical flight to aid you in rising up about 30 feet or so to get there. But yeah, you slip inside and you land on the ground and look around, and it looks desolate. You're in looks like some sort of armory room, but there's nothing hanging on the walls. There's no weapons. There's no arrows. There's just this empty, dusky room. musky. Dusty? All of it.
Nice musk.
See, like, across the room, maybe just like a doorway with the door. Somewhat, it looks like there should be a door there, but there's nothing there. And leading down, thankfully to your vision, you can see quite well in this, what should be darkness. Like a stairwell leading down to the rest of the fortress.
I'm just gonna follow whatever entrances I can find to go down that stairwell.
Okay. As you very carefully make your way down this... Are you being stealthy or you're just walking in?
I believe in you,
I'm just walking.
Sure. As you begin to walk down into this fortress, make your way down the steps, just... You can hear the sounds of your own footsteps, especially with your stilettos clacking and clicking down this stone walkway. The staircase sort of echoing with every step, and you're keeping your ears peeled, quite adept at picking up on the slightest sounds. Your way down inside of this building. Finally come into what looks like a large foyer of sorts, where it looks like this is possibly where anyone who armed this place would be rising up to go gather their weapons and fight, but now you're making your way to the main room. And inside you see this long stretch of, well, it doesn't really have any color to it. It's almost like this deep, dark gray with your eyes able to discern the slightest shade of red to it. And it looks like you're walking into a completely empty castle of sorts. This grand hall where there should be tables and chairs for like fit for dining or meeting or anything of grand luxury. Instead, they're sort of broken and left in states of disarray. You can see some of the chairs actually have occupants, but now they're thinned, almost like mummified, sitting in their chairs, holding glasses in their hands with smiles on their faces, although they seem almost petrified in their place. And it all seems to lead up into this grand, almost like royalty stairway leading up to the far direction, southern end of the room, in which there resides a large chair of sorts, almost like a throne.
I go over to one of the like mummified bodies and just like kind of poke at it, see if it reacts in any way. I don't lick it regularly. So.
You walk up and you poke it, you sort of touch it, and again, the moment you touch it, you get this crackling sound as like these spidering cracks run all the way across its body, and then immediately seems to fall to pieces. Its neck sort of lurches forward like this, and it looks like this thing was just pulled away of all of its life in an instant. Like it died with a smile on its face and a glass in its hand. Anything about your investigating in particular, or are you just looking at the other bodies, or what are you doing? Like, how are you looking them over if you're looking them?
I try to see if they have. They're probably mummified, but like, if they died in an instant, either see if I can ascertain if that's through magic or if they have like injuries on their bodies.
Sure, give me an investigation check. It's gonna be a little difficult, considering these things are in a very delicate state, and touching them too much might cause them to break down before you learn anything. But there's plenty of them, so it's not gonna be too harrowing. Ooh. As you're looking over these bodies, you're sort of taking them, trying to look for a good place. As far as you can tell, your instinct will probably tell you it's magical, because you can't really find anything distinctive on them to discern how or why they died. If you had to decide between an injury or magic, it'd probably have to be magic, because by the time you start looking them over, sort of turning their heads to and fro, their bodies start to fall apart and break. Even the ones you're most careful with, can't really spot anything in time. And then there's just nothing really distinguishing about them. They just seemed like either they died immediately as if like a wave had washed over them, or they just died happy.
Is there anything on the table other than, I guess, disgusting mummified food?
It looks like there's just dust resting on plates. You can see some things, maybe the remnants of old food, but if you thought it was food, it would have to have been there for hundreds of years. To the point where it has literally just been broken down to the simplest of forms, rotten away till it's nothing more than dust.
I'm gonna go sit on the large chair.
Sure. You make your way up toward the southern end of the room, which rises up on these stairs. Looking down, again, looks like you're walking to almost like the throne of a king. And you find this large and luxurious chair. It looks like it's made of some, like... I mean, it's hard to tell, because again, everything in this world seems to be dinged of color. It looks like this very ornate chair, made of this, like, dark metal that kind of rises up into these fine curves before it seems to point out into spikes. Finally, sitting on the cushion, almost like an imposing, intimidating figure. And the cushion itself does seem to have a sort of color to it. It's like the soft red. And you just sort of like look at it, and you sort of sit down in it and sort of feel things out. It was pretty comfortable here.
This feels right.
I'm never leaving.
As it actually does, Luna. Strangely enough, it feels creepy. It feels like you're not at home, but something about this chair? Maybe it's how comfortable it is, or maybe it's just sitting in something of great importance. It feels right. And your mind begins to just sort of soften for a moment. And just a bit of that cloud in your head, Luna, seems to disperse ever so slightly. And you remember sitting in this chair. You were much smaller. Much, much smaller, but you were in this chair on someone's lap. And you try to remember who it was. You're looking up, trying to discern, like, who's basically keeping you here. And you see a man dressed in very luxurious clothing. You see pale skin, parted hair going way down to his lower back. You can see it going past his shoulders. And he holds you so gently as a child. You were very young. You couldn't have been more than just a toddler, just a fleeting memory in your head. And you remember seeing down, smiling at you, your pale skin and soft amber eyes. A slightly different looking Eric Gelner. His outfit is much more grandeur, like a noble. He has this sort of resting mantle on his shoulders that rises up around his neck to this point and falls back and seems to drape down the side of this chair. And you remember looking out and you see people here, lots of people adorned in similar garb, just smiling and enjoying themselves, talking to one another. And then something happens and a hand takes yours and you're guided away. And you're taken by someone else, an older man. Looks like he's got something of a beard on his face. He's happy to see you, and you're really happy to see him, but you don't remember why. And you blink, and you're back in the chair.
Okay. Fuck. I'm going to get up. This place will probably destroyed, but I imagine a place like this would probably have something that's sort of like a library. If there's anything, stone tablets that could have survived such a long time. So I just kind of wander through the castle to try to see if I could find some place that looks like a library or a place with important books.
Sure. You do wander around, and it looks like off to the side of the foyer there are these large shelves that, I mean, they look like they should hold books or list something value, but a lot of them seem to be in states of disarray. They're similarly broken, like the tables and everything, and you can see it looks like some of them just look like they've been smashed. You find pages of things scattered across the ground, although again, looks like they've been sitting there so long, like you find the closest thing to an intact book, and you pick it up, and it just sort of breaks in your hands as the paper falls away like dust. Seems like the things they had here weren't particularly meant to last forever. Not like the fortress itself. How long it's been sitting here, it's hard to say.
I just kind of wander through the castle. See, if I could find anything or insignia important that can tell me is who lived here or what they really did, because this place doesn't match the rest of the town. It's like if this place is even supposed to be here.
Yeah. You're just kind of looking around. Give me an investigation check.
We believe in
I don't.
Yeah. You're looking for any signs that really give this thing away, like some sort of identity to it. And again, it's hard to say. It's been so long. Most of the stuff is breaking away. Inside the building itself, besides, like, there's nothing really seemed to survive whatever the hell happened here. But as you make your way maybe to one of those parapets again, looking out the window down to the ground around you, you do notice that, yeah, like you noticed before, the ground around this place seemed to be somewhat indented into the ground, and you do notice that, like, there is something of, like, cobblestone around this area of a different breed than the rest of the town you've walked through. It almost looks like, I mean, it's stupid, but it almost looks like where you're at right now just kind of appeared. Like it just fell out of the sky.
Well, neither me or Luna are smart enough for this, so I'm going to make my way back to, I guess, the fountain.
Yeah,
As I pass through, as I pass by stairs, I'm going to see if I can, like, talk to any of them.
Sure. As you're walking by and you see some of these silvery shapes moving around, the shadows walking between them, you find a couple of them. They don't seem to greet you very loudly, just sort of a soft, like,
"Ah, traveler."
Right. Can you understand me? Stop moving, wisping, whatever the fuck you're doing, honestly.
This one is warm. This one has flesh. What is it doing here?
Oh, that doesn't sound rapey at all. Can you answer a couple questions?
is its response.
I'm going to take that as a yes. Do you know anything about this tower?
Ah, the Lord of Night fell from the cloud into Gloomrock. He has since gone. Quite some time, yes. Quite some time. Stolen by flesh, such as yourself. Stolen to another world.
Can you describe him for me? Do you have, like, long hair?
Black as night. Eyes like fire. Skin like snow. And fury like war.
What did they call him?
The Lord of Night.
That's it? No actual name. God, you're useless. Okay, whatever. Go back to doing whatever you do.
They are coming.
Who's coming?
Best run now. They'll be with you shortly.
As behind you, Luna, off in the distance of the town, you hear this sound. It starts off as a low drawl that grows louder and louder. Something resounding from this dark town. as the clattering of claws echo down these strange walkways. And you can look down, and with your shadowy vision, you see these strange shapes. As it seems like these masses of shadow that come crawling out of the darkness, all heading in your direction.
I'm going to fly and just fly up into the sky. See if they can follow me up there.
Sure. You probably have to cast fly again because it takes some time to traverse the town. It's not it was like a 20-minute. It was more than a 20-minute walk to get between these places. So like.
I know. I assumed I was walking. Sure. I was originally. So yeah, recast fly.
Okay. So as at this point, the magic takes over you again, and you go up in the air as you shoot your fire into the air. You fly up in the air, so you're like just trying to get above them.
Yeah, just trying to get pretty far into the sky, see if they start lifting up.
Sure. You see these as you start to get a better view of them. You see these shapes now coalescing around the spot you were at, getting closer and closer, and you can kind of make out the details of them. They're sort of strange. They'll be running for a moment. You see like these claws dragging across the ground. These like baleful-looking faces, beady eyes, mouth full of something. It looks like just long, sharp, like as if they had more teeth than gum. But they're running, and then they seem to just vanish and reappear as if they're fading off into the dim light and reappearing. And they all converge where you were, and then they keep moving and moving until, well, they're not going after you, Luna. They crawl into this fountain, and their bodies seem to mash down into this puddle of water. And they're gone.
I'm going to take out Hearthstone. I'm going to think really hard about the Haggard Wolf, as I will attempt to use it to cast Plane Shift to get back directly into my room.
You're going to end up in,
Yeah.
You just had a little flute powder moment there. That's going to be cool. Alright, see what happens.
Okay.
You know I have terrible memory. I would remember where it is.
I was just about to fucking say. Diagon Alley.
Be the mangy hound,
Alright.
You wake up and...
I feel like what's a Haggard thing? I feel like we know about that. Anyway. I go to the Mangy Hound.
There you go. As you think of that place, Garenswell, the Mangy Hound, you've been there before as a kid too. It's just gotta think about it right now, and you focus, and it seems like your body just seems to disperse into shadow. As roll me a d20. Ooh, nice. As you're channeling your magic through this thing, you do see. You almost feel like bending underneath its own power, as if this thing was not meant to hold this much energy. And it starts to seem like it's giving way, heating up in your hand before it activates, and then it fades. And you actually reappear back, Garenswell, amidst the rain, although this time you find yourself not in the Mangy Hound, but outside of it. Just standing outside the door where you once were, as if you're about to step inside.
I look around. Do I see my party, my peoples?
No, it seems like whatever they were doing, they're still not quite back yet. Although all of you, as you guys are sort of making your way out of Eric Kellner's residence and sort of trying to figure out what to do next, maybe trying to plan the next move, all of you across the town, this low, failing sound emanates. And then the sound of a scream coming from the northern end of town.
Hell.
Well, time to defend.
This is going to be interesting.
You guys gather your wares, assuming Luna's also possibly. How do you react to this, Luna?
Just goes to bed.
Damn, you beat me to it. Pretty sure I still have fly up, so I'm just gonna kind of fly into the air, look towards the clock tower, see if I see them
Oh yeah, with some aerial space on you and your amazing dark vision, you sort of float up to the side of this building, sort of actually obfuscated from the torchlight, able to more easily hide yourself if you don't want to be seen. And you do hear the sound of slapping heavy boots and puddles, and I guess the sound of galloping. As you hear the sounds of galloping, as you see a large figure along with people trying to keep up as best they can behind them.
I would take one person with it. I guess Samantha, probably.
Okay.
I don't know. 3 y'all are slow, so.
Okay. Dragging yourselves up.
Going.
You do see, you basically do see the bulk of your party now moving through the town. Some of them probably being a bit louder than others. Your discerning ear is able to pick up on them, and you can follow after them with your little flying wings.
I'm gonna try to catch up with them, and pretty sure by the time I catch up with them, my fly will start fading, so I'll kind of land and try to run in tandem with them.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, Lou, you hear that? Somebody's screaming over there.
Jessica's here.
Perfect. We need to address whatever it is that's making that howl. It's unfortunate. I don't think we're gonna get paid for it.
There's some sort of spirit, demon, thing, dogs, whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Yeah. You've seen them?
It's a long story. We should probably get there and deal with
let's
it
go
first.
see if they bleed.
Let's get to get.
As you guys get closer, Gregory, it's a little difficult because, like Quill may have noticed during his time surveying the town, the further you get to these places, you see it looks like the buildings start to sort of scrunch together. They get closer and closer, as if there wasn't too much thought placed into where they were placed in this world, until you start squishing between some of the architecture, and you can make it with Nero, but it's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze through some of these alleyways.
Yeah, I'm not really trying to get much ahead of the group. I'm running off ahead like 30 feet just to check where the hell we're going, but I never lose track of the party because I know they're going to be a little bit.
I've been trying
to
give him directions as he's going.
Yeah.
Okay. Just saying it's going to be a little tight, but you do eventually make your way to the northern part of town, which you, Luna, would recognize, probably closer to where you found the well. And eventually making your way past these corners, it's getting hard to see, like this. Some of you with dark vision can see quite well, but it seems like the rain is sort of obfuscating your vision. There's not much light except for these soft, now hindered lanterns all around you. Until finally, coming across the way, Gregory, you sort of had to slow down, trying to make it around this tight turn. Enough for the party to catch up. You all catch sight of something quite dire. You see a woman basically on her butt on the ground, knees drawn to her chest, placed up against the wall of a building, and beset on either side of her are these two ragged-looking figures, dark fur matting to their skin, and as you come along, one of their heads turns your way, and you see a pair of gleaming eyes looking back at you in the darkness. It looks like these strange-looking wolves. Maybe it's just the rain obfuscating them or affecting their bodies, but they don't look quite normal. As this woman seems to be holding her hand, as you can see this. So your dark vision, not easily quite able to see the color of it, but this streaks of dark liquid running down her arm, pretty discernible to be blood. As she seems like she is in trouble, as that is where we will end tonight's session.
Aw, yeah.
Get out of there, boy.
I will say, as we were running around through the fucking alleyways, I'd pop on my guard, since carrying around a torch would be difficult in the rain.
Absolutely. Ooh. I got you, baby.
Yay!
Oh my goodness! Ah, God. I'm gonna get addicted to this. I'm gonna get addicted.
That's not matey.
To fucking just this wonderful fucking gothic horror nonsense. We're just never leaving this. This is just gonna be the game now. Sorry. That's just the way it's gonna be.
I mean, we'll leave in November.
I don't want to see the sun again for months. No. That was awesome. I hope you all enjoyed tonight's session of Song of Rapture as well, as we will hopefully have to come back and save this poor woman from her assault by these horrible shadow hounds or what have you, whatever they may be. Hopefully the valiant vanguard can prevail against these enemies and whatever else throws their evil teeth towards them. Oh yes, just open up with a fireball. There's no way. She'll be fine, of course. You know, all's well that
Got
ends
away with it
well.
once.
What's the worst? Oh god, the whole town's on fire.
Thanks.
Oh, boy.
no, again.
Now Jessica's wanted. Here comes Karen.
I mean, the haircut's
Don't
almost
put
there.
that evil on me.
Don't put yeah, if she becomes Karen, she's an NPC now. As that is all she wrote for Song of Rapture tonight. It has been quite interesting. It seems as though there's a lot more to Dr. Eric Gellner than meets the eye. Perhaps he is the Lord of Night. Perhaps that is someone else entirely. I don't think so, though. But we shall see, hopefully next week, question mark, for more Song of Rapture, pending any and all changes. So be sure to follow. Thanks, everyone, so much for following. So many followers tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sybil Bamis and Forp Warrior and Evil Sorintia, thank you so much for following. Trindle Clencher, Vivacious Rating or Rationing, thank you for following. Y'all are great, y'all are awesome, and I hope you also follow on Twitter for any updates or changes to the schedule. We will be back next week with more D&D on Tuesday for Kingdoms of the South as the Apex Alliance do their best to find Princess Co. as war is breaking out in the Kingdoms of the South, but there is nobility to be saved and things to be made right. Along with, well, perhaps maybe some answers to some questions that some of that group have been having about the goings-on, the plotting of the Drow and their seeming almost sleeper cells in the cities of the High Moors and other related kingdoms. Perhaps we'll get some answers to some of those questions in the rescue of Princess Co, and who knows what they'll get up to next after that. And of course, we have to come on back here to Garen's Well, to Innistrad, and deal with all this wonderful gothic horror. And is it a vampire? Is it something else? Who knows? All we know is that Shadowfell is involved. Yeah, he's actually a construct. He's a robot. You never saw it coming. It was secretly a sci-fi adventure. Gotcha, bitch. Dracula? Dracula, thank you so much for following. God fucking damn it.
Dralicula?
Dralicula? Oh my fucking god. What a...
Dralicula, I like you a lot.
Thank you for being here,
It's gonna be licking ya.
Oh my god. Oh, you're the best. You're the best. You guys are great. That is all we got for tonight. We're gonna go host somebody else playing some wonderful D&D. And as always, may your dice roll 20s, and you always make your saves.
Later, y'all.
Actually, on second thought, we're going to host one of my favorite artists, so check her out. She did the wonderful Yolder art from The Expanse, and now she's back with her new channel.
Give me 1 second, guys. Hey, hey. What's up, Lion? Do You Want to Build a Snowman is the only good song in Frozen Fight Me. Whoa. I just got a load of money in my PayPal. Someone. Just had an awesome date session. Awesome, awesome. I feel like, the background's really bothering me. Like, I know it's something I can go in and fix later. I really want to paint her right now, though, so I'm getting annoyed with myself because I'm like, I don't want to fucking paint this other stuff. I just want to start painting her, but, like, everything in the background is going to, like, you know, affect her in the foreground, so I need to figure out what I'm doing with the background. I can't just start painting her. And then I'll, like... I'll be doing it in reverse and just complicating things for no reason. There's so much detail going in, it's looking good. Thank you, thank you. Man, I've only been on for 3 hours. Gee. Okay, let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to get some cereal.